Chapter 686. Hearing Ning Qingshuan's words, Liang Jihuan smiled and said, "Oh, I almost forgot. The Empress knows this Lin Zhen. Then in your opinion, how strong is this Lin Zhen?" Ning Qingshuan's expression didn't change at all. "I had a short fight with this person before. His strength isn't bad. He probably hasn't used his full strength yet." "Is that so? But I don't think he can do it. I think he's destined to be eliminated." "No, I think he'll get a good ranking." Ning Qingxian shook her head slightly. Although she was relatively indifferent when it came to Lin Zhen, even if it was the Emperor, she wouldn't give in. In Ning Qingshuan's heart, the Emperor was only the Emperor, not her lover. "Then how about I make a small bet with the Empress? If Lin Zhen can enter the top 5 million, then I'll give him some rewards." "What rewards?" Ning Qingxian asked. Hearing Ning Qingshuan's question, Liang Jihuan's heart became even more sour. "Give him all the teleportation arrays in the southern Liang for free. If he can't enter, then the Empress will eat with me every day." Ning Qingxian thought for a bit and said, "What if he enters the top 1 million? Of course, that's even better. Isn't he an alchemist? The Imperial Medicine Warehouse is open to him. He can buy as much as he wants. What if he enters the top 100,000? Ning Qingxian tilted her head and said with a smile on her face, "Half price. Top 10,000. The Empress must be joking with me. If he can enter the top 10,000, then I'll sell him all the herbs at a discount. Top 1,000? Ning Qingxian continued to ask. Liang Jihuan laughed. "If he can enter the top 1,000, then I'll wear a red ribbon and welcome him 10 miles away as a hero. I'm just afraid he won't live up to expectations." Entering the top 1,000, in Liang Jihuan's eyes, was simply a fool's dream. Your Majesty shouldn't be so confident. If he gets the chance to refine the divine body, how will your Majesty deal with it? The Empress shouldn't think too highly of this person. Since the founding of the Southern Liang, no one has been able to get the chance to refine the divine body on the Star of God's punishment. If that's the case, as long as he doesn't want my throne, I can give him anything. Your Majesty's words are like gold and jade. I will remember your words." Ning Qingxian nodded slightly and stopped talking. "What if he can't?" Liang Jihuan asked. "You're the Emperor." The two of them spoke through telepathy, so the civil and military officials below couldn't hear anything. However, Ning Qingshuan's words proved that Lin Zhen was very important to her. Liang Jihuan snorted and didn't continue speaking. He was secretly calculating in his heart. Even if Ning Qingxian and Lin Zhen had feelings for each other, there wasn't anything practical. As long as Lin Zhen was defeated on the Star of God's punishment, then Ning Qingxian would definitely be disappointed in Lin Zhen. When he obtained Ning Qingshuan's body, the woman would side with him sooner or later. For the sake of Ning Qingxian, he could endure all of this for the time being. As for Lin Zhen's ranking, he wasn't worried at all. A level 8 region monarch wouldn't even last half the time and would be eliminated. Moreover, Liang Jihuan had another source of confidence. Lin Zhen was in the Eastern Continent's 68th battle zone. In that battle zone, there were 7 other Southern Liang warriors. Moreover, there was a seated contestant among them. It was his guard captain, Shi Xiaomao, who was known as Mad Saber. I've already told Shi Xiaomao about Lin Zhen. I believe he won't disappoint me. Lin Zhen won't even last until the border opens, let alone obtain the final ranking. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The battle on the Star of God's punishment had already lasted for more than 20 days. In these 20 days, the people of the Yuan realm had fully witnessed the talents of the various countries. Although many of the seated contestants shone brightly, there were still too many dark horses that emerged. They were invincible in the various battle zones. There was news of seated contestants being defeated almost every day. At the very beginning, the competition was the fiercest. The first batch of contestants was the most numerous. In order to occupy a good position in the city, the warriors fought each other. In just the first day, more than 1 billion people were eliminated. After 20 consecutive days, half of the 10 billion contestants had been eliminated. After such a long period of fighting, the situation in the various battle zones had also stabilized. The undead creatures were gradually decreasing. Every region had many legends about the strong. Every street in the city was ruled by the recognized strongest. In order to survive, these warriors teamed up with each other, formed alliances, and hunted down their enemies. Conspiracies and massacres were constantly played out. The undead creatures would occasionally attack the warriors and counterattack. Wonderful and colorful scenes were played out continuously, making the people of the Yuan realm exclaim in satisfaction. However, at this time, the momentum of elimination had gradually slowed down. It was starting to enter a stable period. Those who were weaker were almost eliminated in the early stages. Now, it was the true performance stage of the geniuses. The previous rankings were also changing like a merry-go-round. There was no one who could look down on all the heroes. However, at this time, all the warriors who entered the Yuan realm had more or less accumulated some points. Only Lin Jun, who came from the southern Liang Empire and was the Grand Elder of the Alchemist Guild, still had a big 0. This matter had also become the object of ridicule for many people. In the eyes of others, the only explanation for Lin Jun's 0 points was that he was hiding and did not dare to participate in the battle. Although he had defeated one person, he might have been injured and did not dare to come out again. Such a coward would definitely not be able to achieve anything on the Star of God's Punishment. In an abandoned house, Lin Jun held a row of potion bottles in his hands. These potions were all refined during this period of time. This was already the second time he was preparing to absorb them. The last time was 20 days ago. Lin Jun's nascent soul had already advanced from the late bronze to the middle silver. After this absorption, he would at least reach the peak silver level, or even the gold level. Lin Jun opened his mouth, and a black hole appeared at his throat. It looked a little scary. He sucked slightly at the row of potion bottles, and all the potions were immediately devoured by him. Hiss! A large amount of potion energy entered his spiritual sea, and Lin Jun sucked in a breath of cold air. In the core of his spiritual sea, his nascent soul, which was half bronze and half silver, began to change. After the potion energy entered it, the bronze color quickly faded, and large patches of skin began to turn silver. If it were anyone else, even if they had spiritual power potions, they would not be able to advance their spiritual power so quickly. Only Lin Jun's black hole was the fastest way to advance. From the middle silver level to the late silver level, and then to the peak silver level. In the end, the nascent soul's entire body was silver. Then, a spot of golden light appeared between its eyebrows. The absorption this time not only allowed Lin Jun to break through the late silver level, but it even allowed him to reach the early gold level. However, the potion's energy had not been used up yet. It was still breaking through. In the end, Lin Jun's spiritual power stopped at 20% of the gold level. The divine infant's hands and feet had turned into a dazzling golden color. Phew! This is what I call a spiritual power master. My current spiritual power should have surpassed most of the realm kings. I can be considered to have a place on the Star of God's Punishment. The fighting on the Star of God's Punishment has essentially returned to the past, when everyone was a war god. The suppression of astral power 100 times and the supergravity here means that everyone can't unleash their full strength. It's even impossible to fly here. Only people with extremely strong spiritual power can fly at low altitudes. It's no different from back on Earth. Now that I have strong spiritual power, I might as well blood bond with my 7-star sword. This is the weapon of a spiritual power master. I can't always rely on the nascent soul. Lin Jun had 3 items: the 7-star sword, the lightning wings, and the light fiend. Apart from the lightning wings, which were still somewhat useful, the 7-star sword and the light fiend were not very useful because their levels were too low. Lin Jun had no way to blood bond with the light fiend for the time being, but the 7-star sword was different. In Lin Jun's Dark Star world, there was now a small tree and a small hill that nurtured it. The whistling turbulence of space still surrounded the small hill. It was brought out when Lin Jun took it. Because it had been in the turbulence of space for many years, the small hill had already become one with the turbulence of space. Even in the Dark Star realm, it could not completely land. Lin Jun had no choice but to levitate the small hill above a basin, forming a floating island. The turbulence of space was even purer than the energy elements that Lin Jun possessed. When Lin Jun had refined the seven-star saber, he hadn't been skilled enough. The seven-star saber was only a divine artifact now. This time, he wanted to modify the seven-star saber. He wanted to throw it into the turbulent flow of energy and fuse it with the power of space. Lin Jun had several furnaces. Not only did he have a pill furnace, but he also had the furnace that he used to use as a star shift master. After taking out the furnace, Lin Jun began to blood bond with the seven-star sword again. First, he stripped the energy from the seven-star sword and turned it back into an attributeless meteoric iron. Then, Lin Jun began to absorb energy from the turbulence of space. This process was not simple. Lin Jun estimated that he would need about 3 days to complete it. However, once he finished refining the seven-star sword, it would be time for him to leave seclusion. Eastern Continent City 68, the only city in the 68th War Zone. A gust of wind blew through the dilapidated streets. A thick smell of blood wafted through the air. The wandering corpses on the streets moved forward crookedly. These walking corpses were the lowest-level undead creatures on this planet. They were the easiest to kill and the best source of points. However, after the initial battles, these low-level walking corpses were very rare. The remaining ones were high-level undead creatures that were hard to kill. A martial artist who was hiding in the dark suddenly rushed out when he saw these few walking corpses. The sword in his hand struck out like lightning. He wanted to take these points. At this moment, on a tall building by the side of the road, another martial artist descended from the sky. The 5-meter-long glaive in his hand was twirled like a windmill as it came crashing down like a cannonball. Not good. These walking corpses are bait. It was too late for the sword-wielding martial artist to realize that something was amiss. The glaive martial artist rushed forward as the snow-white blade beam enveloped him like an inescapable net. If not for the protection of the green light bestowed by the gods, he would have been torn into pieces. The sword-wielding martial artist was judged to be dead. He was enveloped by the green light and indignantly eliminated. Mad Saber Xiaomao, you bastard! The sword-wielding martial artist roared angrily before disappearing. Chapter 687. When the corpses saw the man with the glaive, they immediately roared and charged forward. The man sneered and used his mental strength. A white rope flew out and tied up the corpses. No matter how they struggled, they could not break free. Not bad. I got 520 points for killing one opponent. At this moment, a few warriors appeared and gave Xiaomao a thumbs up. Boss, you are indeed the #1 expert of Kangla Street. That bait is really awesome. That idiot was killed by you in one move. That's right. Boss's saber technique is really amazing. I think Boss has a chance of getting into the top 100,000 in this star divine punishment. Faced with the flattery of his lackeys, Xiaomao's mouth twitched. Is it that easy to get into the top 100,000? Not only does it require strength, it also requires luck. Maybe some people are very strong and have the ability to get into the top 10,000, but they end up being killed by someone stronger than them. Maybe some people are cowering and hiding, but they end up with a pretty good ranking. Who can say for sure? A man with a hatchet beside him said, Boss, the cowering rat-like guy you were talking about is Lin Jun, right? That kid is in the same battle zone as us, but it has been almost a month and his points are still 0. Who knows which rat hole he has crawled into? That's right. That kid doesn't even show his head. We have been asking around, but have not found him. How are we going to complete His Majesty's mission? Why don't we not look for him for now and continue to earn points? Mad Saber, Xiaomao, shook his head slightly. No, we have to find this Lin Jun. I am the captain of His Majesty's guards. I cannot disobey His Majesty's orders. Boss, why is His Majesty so insistent on eliminating Lin Jun? Although that person is an alchemist, he is only a domain monarch. It's nothing. Mad Saber hesitated for a moment. I'm not too sure about that, but there is a legend. I believe you have heard of it. A warrior suddenly said, I heard that this Lin Jun has an affair with the Empress. This sentence was like a drop of water in a pot of oil, causing the warriors to explode. What? Lin Jun, that bastard, actually dares to defile the Empress? No way. Her Majesty can crush him with one finger. I think it's possible. Otherwise, why would Her Majesty insist on eliminating him? This kind of thing between a man and a woman is the hardest to say. Mad Sword waved his hand to stop their discussion. That's not something we should worry about. You guys should think about how to find Lin Jun. Otherwise, I won't be able to stay in the Northwest City. Boss, why don't we go find the werewolf boss? He has so many subordinates, so he definitely knows a lot. Who knows, he might be able to find Lin Jun. The werewolf was the #1 expert of the entire Northwest City and one of the top 10 experts of the 68th War Zone. After a series of tests, the warriors were no longer able to see the overall ranking. All they could see was the minor ranking of the 68th Battle Zone, because even if there were experts in each battle zone, they might not be able to widen the gap between them and the experts in other battle zones. The first place would be staggered, so God chose to temporarily close the overall ranking. They would only be able to see the overall ranking when the borders between battle zones were opened. Currently, Mad Sword led dozens of people and occupied Kanglan Street. He was considered a small leader, but he still had to acknowledge the werewolf as his boss. Otherwise, he would not be able to survive in the Northwest City. Okay, I'll contact the werewolf boss now. The Star of God's Punishment also prohibited communication between other universes to prevent the people inside from communicating with the people outside. However, when these warriors came here, they found some mobile phones and other communication devices and used them temporarily. Mad Sword took out his phone and dialed the werewolf's number. Werewolf boss, it's me. I want to ask you about a person. This person is called Lin Jun. He's about 9 meters tall and has a pretty face. Yes. Help me find out if anyone has seen him. Okay, I'll wait for your news. Thank you, boss. After hanging up the phone, the werewolf's message came a while later. On the first day in the city, someone saw Lin Jun heading towards the Northwest Wilderness. Mad Sword put away his phone and showed a cold smile on his face. You really are a rat. You really are hiding. When I find your rat hole, I'll see where you can hide. He whistled, and people jumped out from the buildings on both sides of the street. Boss, you called for us. Boss, why are you looking for us? Is there some prey that we need to kill? These were the people that Mad Sword had taken in during this period of time. Right now, half of the warriors were from factions while the other half were solo warriors. The days of solo warriors were not easy, so more and more people chose to join a faction. Mad Sword had a total of 18 people under him. Let's go, brothers. The target is the wilderness in the Northwest. Follow me to find an annoying rat. Once this deal is done, I guarantee that everyone will not work for free. Because you all know who I represent, ha ha ha. So you're working for the Emperor of the Southern Liang. Then there's nothing to say. I believe that without hundreds of millions, even the Emperor would not be able to afford it. Go. My steel saber is thirsty for blood. Mad Sword took the lead and led his 18 subordinates to the Northwest. Before leaving, he used his mental power and took back the ropes that bound the zombies. At the same time, he waved his blade behind him. A bright blade light cut through the space and directly cut a few zombies that he used as bait in half. The blade light did not stop and directly hit a 3-story building behind him. The building collapsed under the blade light. Even with his star power suppressed 100 times, a casual attack still had such power. This made the warriors speechless. The house that Lin Jun was in was like a magical house. The colors were constantly changing. Blue ice. Blade is complete. Lin Jun extracted the cold air from the space turbulence and injected it into a blade. Then he directly took out a purple gas from the dark star space and injected it into the blade. The blade flickered and a half-foot-long hidden weapon throwing knife was formed. Picking up the throwing knife and looking it up and down, Lin Jun nodded with satisfaction. It really was forged from the energy of the space turbulence. This blade has actually reached the level of a top-grade heaven artifact. If this blade had a spirit, it would immediately become a spirit treasure. Putting down the cold ice blade, Lin Jun already had 6 throwing knives by his side. Red fire, blue ice, blue wind, purple light, yellow earth, orange gold. Only one thunderblade was missing. Lin Jun's 7-star blade was completed. Striking while the iron was hot, Lin Jun put the mold of the last 7-star blade into the furnace. Then he extracted the lightning from the space turbulence and injected it into the blade. About 3 hours later, thunder fell from the sky. A bolt of lightning fell on the roof and directly pierced through it. The thunderblade was formed. Lin Jun closed his eyes. His long hair fluttered in the wind. The 7-star blade circled around him, letting out a clear, buzzing sound. It was as if 7 planets were orbiting the sun. They were moving very fast, but they would not touch each other. With Lin Jun's current mental power, controlling the new 7-star blade was extremely easy. His mental power at the early stage of gold began to spread outwards. It enveloped the surrounding space like mercury. Everything in the surroundings was under Lin Jun's control. Someone is coming. It seems like they don't have good intentions. Lin Jun raised his hand and put away the 7-star blade. He stood up and walked to the window. In the distant wilderness, a group of cultivators was rapidly approaching, surrounding Lin Jun's house with a target in mind. I've been staying here, aloof from worldly affairs. There are actually so many people coming to encircle me. It seems like they came prepared. Seeing the words Southern Liang on the sleeve of the leading martial artist, Lin Jun could roughly guess why these people were here. He believed that he could not completely hide the matter of Ning Qingxian from Liang Jihuan's eyes and ears. In Lin Jun's opinion, although that girl Ning Qingxuan's strength was extraordinary, she was too honest and did not know how to act. She would not be able to deceive anyone. She would definitely be noticed. Moreover, he and Ning Qingxian returned to the primordial realm on the same day. Liang Jihuan would definitely be able to find out. A man and a woman had been together for more than 2 years. It would be strange if Liang Jihuan did not suspect anything. However, no matter what the other party was thinking, since they wanted to find trouble with him, Lin Jun would definitely not back down. It did not matter if they were the emperor or anyone else. Since you don't want me to be well, then I'll give you a greeting gift first. 1, 2, 3, 4. A total of 19 people, 11 realm kings, and 8 region kings. I'll clean up these small fries first and get rid of these region kings. Asterisk, 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 asterisk in the palace of Southern Liang. Liang Jihuan was holding a banquet for the emperors of 2 neighboring countries. One was the emperor of Northern Wei, and the other was the emperor of Western Zhou. Great Liang, Great Wei, and Great Zhou were allied countries. Their national strength was similar, and they relied on each other to survive among the strong countries of the primordial realm. Southern Liang, Northern Wei, and Western Zhou were neighboring countries. They had always been on good terms with each other and often had dealings with each other. This time, the emperors of Northern Wei and Western Zhou came together to celebrate Liang Jihuan's succession as the emperor of Southern Liang. Naturally, Liang Jihuan held a big banquet to welcome them warmly. During the banquet, as the empress, Ning Qingxian naturally had to attend as well. The empress of Northern Wei and Western Zhou followed along. The 2 women glanced at Ning Qingxian from time to time with jealous expressions. How could this woman be so eye-catching? She made their emperor husband lose his mind. How annoying. The emperors of Northern Wei and Western Zhou were even more envious of Liang Jihuan. Not to mention their countries, even in the entire Great Wei and Great Zhou, there was no woman more beautiful than Ning Qingxian. Liang Jihuan was really lucky. Liang Jihuan had a beautiful wife by his side, and the limelight of other women was overshadowed. He was also in a good mood. He couldn't help beaming with joy and raised his glass frequently. Seeing how arrogant Liang Jihuan was, the emperors of Northern Wei and Western Zhou exchanged glances. They both felt that they should take him down a notch. In terms of women, no one could surpass Ning Qingxian. But what was the hottest topic now? Naturally, it was the star of divine punishment. Chapter 688. The emperor of Western Zhou coughed and interrupted Liang Jihuan's rambling. Brother Liang, what a coincidence this time. I saw that there were many warriors from our 3 countries in the 68th battle zone of the Eastern continent. Don't you think it's a coincidence? Liang Jihuan frowned slightly. There were thousands of participants from each country. How could it be a coincidence that they were all in the same battle zone? He even mentioned the 68th battle zone. Did something happen in the 68th battle zone? The other 2 empresses were trying to get Ning Qingxian drunk. They wanted to get this new empress, who was the envy of all the women in the world, drunk. Ning Qingxian was not good at socializing, so she could only hold her cup. But when she heard the Emperor of Western Zhou's words, Ning Qingxian could not help but put down her cup and look at him. Seeing that his topic had attracted the attention of the beauty, the Emperor of Western Zhou was even more proud. He said loudly, "Our 3 countries are similar in strength and belong to the lower class in the primordial realm. Although we are not strong, the men of Western Zhou are all good. There has never been a coward who drags out an ignoble existence. We will never send a coward who doesn't even dare to fight." The Emperor of Northern Wei immediately added, "Brother Zhou is right. The men of Northern Wei are all strong. Even if they are not a match, they dare to go out and fight." Liang Jihuan took a sip of wine and said, "Brothers, I don't really understand what you are saying. Are the men of Southern Liang cowards?" "Ha! Most of the men of Southern Liang are good. For example, Brother Liang's son is very capable. But you should pay attention to the selection process. Don't let a rat ruin the whole pot of soup." The Emperor of Western Zhou smiled and said, "As far as I know, there is a warrior from Southern Liang who still has 0 points, right? He is very famous in the entire primordial realm." "Yes, everyone in Northern Wei has heard about it. Now, even the instructors of the martial arts schools are telling their disciples not to just practice martial arts, but to cultivate their courage. Otherwise, they will be like that guy called Lin Jun from Southern Liang. He doesn't even dare to fight and becomes a negative example." "What a joke, ha ha ha!" Liang Jihuan's expression changed. He turned to look at Ning Qingxian. He originally thought that he could win the heart of Ning Qingxian after winning the bet with Lin Jun, but he did not expect that he would lose face overseas. However, he didn't feel awkward at all. Ning Qingxian should be the one feeling awkward instead. Compared to this small loss of face, it was more important to completely defeat Lin Jun and make Ning Qingxian hate him more. How could he not see that Ning Qingshuan's heart was biased? His wife was biased toward another man. This was something that Liang Jihuan could not tolerate. But because of Ning Qingshuan's status and strength, he could only use this method. With a thought, Liang Jihuan had already made up his mind. I have to clarify this matter. Lin Jun's quota was directly issued by the Alchemist Guild. He is the Grand Elder of the Alchemist Guild. Although he is a citizen of Southern Liang, he has the protection of the Alchemist Guild. I can't do anything about it. The Emperor of Northern Wei and the Emperor of Western Zhou nodded in agreement. The power of the Alchemist Guild was not inferior to any of the empires. If this person isn't from the guild, how could he have obtained a slot with his little bit of skill? I would rather crush him to death than let him go out and embarrass himself. What a joke. I'll let you 2 brothers see this. At this time, the Empress of Northern Wei, a beautiful woman, suddenly spoke. Emperor of Southern Liang, this Empress has heard a rumor. The Empress by your side knows this person called Lin Jun. It is said that the 2 of them were swallowed by a spatial crack together and stayed together for 2 years. Is this true? Liang Jihuan's face immediately darkened. He thought that good news did not leave the house, but bad news spread far and wide. This kind of matter was actually known by people from other countries. In his heart, he wanted to skin the person who leaked the news, but he still had to smile. Empress Wei's words are too serious. Speaking of which, my Empress and this Lin Jun are enemies. They were swallowed together because of the situation. It was not something that could be stopped. It seems that it is true. Then I would like to ask Empress Ning, this Lin Jun is as timid as a mouse. Why didn't you kill him in the space? The Empress of Western Zhou also chimed in, that's right. What's the use of keeping such a person? What a disgrace. Could it be that this person's life is beautiful? Or perhaps he has a special ability that is very likable, and Empress Ning is reluctant to let him go? Facing the two empresses' attacks and Liang Jihuan's attack, Ning Qingxian slowly opened her mouth. Lin Zhen is not my enemy. He is my benefactor. The matter of Hua Tai Sui is not a secret. I think you all know that it was Lin Zhen who killed this person. Do you think that I can repay kindness with enmity and kill him in the space? Or perhaps you are the kind of people who would kill for your own reputation. If that's the case, I really wonder how you became the emperor and empress. Under Ning Qingshuan's beautiful face, her awe-inspiring righteousness made people not dare to look at her directly. The self-confidence of a strong person was vividly reflected at this moment. Wherever her eyes passed, several people did not dare to look at her. Moreover, she was right. Back then, he didn't kill Lin Zhen because of this. As for the two of them gradually developing feelings for each other, it was also because of Lin Zhen's meticulous care over the past 2 years. Every night, they were intimate with each other. Ning Qingxian really felt that Lin Zhen's character was very good, so she gradually accepted him. At this moment, several people with ulterior motives could not suspect that Ning Qingxian and Lin Zhen had a private relationship. Only Liang Jihuan was secretly resentful. Ning Qingxian had completely fallen for Lin Zhen and was protecting him everywhere. Fortunately, at this time, the Emperor of Western Zhou continued, but Lin Zhen still has a 0 score. This is undeniable. After all, he is a person of your southern Liang. I'm afraid that Lady Ning has misjudged him. Ning Qingxian shook her head slightly. I believe in him. Her voice was sonorous, and the others did not know how to respond for a moment. In the end, it was the Empress of Western Zhou who said hatefully, Lady Ning, I'm afraid it doesn't match your status to be so protective of an outsider. Moreover, this person is so disappointing. Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to take back your words and be embarrassed? Several others echoed, including Liang Jihuan. He said, Xin'er, I know that you have a special impression of your benefactor, but you have to be rational. This Lin Zhen is not capable. Even if he embarrasses himself, he will embarrass the people of the Alchemist Guild. I will not be the scapegoat. Listening to the continuous ridicule of Lin Zhen, Ning Qingxian lowered her head and did not say anything. She was not good with words, in fact spoke louder than words. Now that Lin Zhen had a 0 score, it was difficult for her to convince the crowd. Seeing that Ning Qingxian had finally stopped speaking, the two empresses were even more proud. They finally found a chance to attack Ning Qingxian. They moved closer to her and kept talking. Their words became more and more harsh and unbearable. Lin Zhen, what are you doing? Ning Qingxian could not use her strength, and her eyes were filled with tears. On the other side, the Northern Wei Emperor pointed at Northern Wei domain monarch and said, Look, our domain monarch is also from the 68th district. He is only a level 7 domain monarch, but his points have exceeded 500. Although his ranking is not high, he still killed 2 people. Compared to Lin Zhen, the difference is like heaven and earth. As he spoke, he even pulled out the information of this domain monarch and introduced him. At this moment, the name of this domain monarch suddenly turned black on the screen. Black meant that he had been eliminated. The emperor was introducing the domain monarch, and he was eliminated. This was a huge slap in the face. The Northern Wei Emperor's face turned ugly. Bastard, you really know how to pick the right time. With that, he connected to the domain monarch's dimension universe. Once a cultivator was eliminated, they would be automatically sent to their own country by god power. The dimension universe could be connected. The screen appeared in front of everyone, and the Northern Wei Emperor pointed at the screen and cursed. Brat, what are you doing to me? You're eliminated at this moment? Are you King doing this on purpose? The domain monarch had just been eliminated and was immediately scolded by the emperor. He did not dare to voice out his grievances and could only complain. Your Majesty, you really can't blame me for this. The opponent's domain monarch is too ferocious. He killed a few of us in seconds. Are you trying to fool me? I heard from the people who came out before that you have already joined an organization in your war zone. You have the advantage in numbers, but you were still killed by a domain monarch? That's right. We have joined an organization. Oh, The leader of the organization is Nanliang's Imperial Guard Captain, Shi Xiaomao. He brought us to kill someone today, but the moment we showed ourselves, that person suddenly attacked us. I didn't even see what happened before I was killed in one strike. Southern Liang Palace Guard Captain? The Northern Wei Emperor looked at Liang Jihuan and wanted to find an answer. Shi Xiaomao, who did he bring you to kill? Liang Jihuan asked anxiously. Could it be that he wanted to deal with Lin Jun? Then wouldn't Lin Jun be eliminated immediately? I don't know either. He brought us there. Oh, someone from Southern Liang was also eliminated. He should know. Liang Jihuan hurriedly looked at the situation on the star of God's punishment. Indeed, 2 domain monarchs from Southern Liang were eliminated. Before he could ask the 2 of them, he suddenly heard Ning Qingxian exclaim. He turned back and saw Ning Qingshuan's snow-white hand covering her red lips. Her beautiful eyes were filled with excitement, and her happiness could be felt from afar. An ominous feeling rose in his heart. He looked at the ranking of the star of God's punishment again, but he saw a row of numbers that shocked him. Lin Jun, who had 0 points previously, now had 3,500 points. He was ranked 706,885 in the 68th war zone. This. Before Liang Jihuan could say anything, Lin Jun's ranking shot up again. His points went from 3,500 to 4,300, and he was ranked 674,598. From 4,300 to 6,100, he was ranked 587,901. From 6,100, it was still jumping up and still rising. Chapter 689. Within the Divine Punishment Star, Lin Jun saw the surrounding warriors slowly approaching. He had already spread out his mental power. His first target was the surrounding 8 domain monarchs. 8 domain monarchs, 8 directions. It wasn't easy to kill them all at once, especially when one of the domain monarchs was following behind the leading 9th Realm King. This target was the hardest to kill. This group of people approached the courtyard. There was a 1-meter-tall wall here. Shi Xiaomao quietly raised his hand and swung it down fiercely. Everyone attack! 19 people jumped up at the same time. Swish, 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 swish. Like a flower blooming in the courtyard, 7 streams of light shot out at the same time. Or rather, they didn't shoot out but flashed and then suddenly arrived. All the light seemed to jump through space and suddenly appeared on the forehead of the target. Without giving them any time to react, they instantly pierced in. When the 7 people jumped up, they were still alive and kicking. But when they landed, their bodies were wrapped in green light, and they were directly killed and eliminated. Be careful, this one is tricky. Mad Blade shouted. A figure flashed in front of him. Lin Jun had already charged out. The yin-yang spear in his hand turned into a poisonous dragon and instantly arrived in front of him. F***K. Lin Jun, you actually dare to be so arrogant in front of me? You're courting death. Mad Blade was best at frontal combat. The splashing wind saber technique was also his famous technique. Seeing Lin Jun actually dare to attack him head-on, his blood boiled as he swung his saber to meet the attack. Lin Jun took a deep breath and didn't let it leak. 40,000 stars surged around him. He didn't retreat at all. Attack! Ever since Lin Jun nurtured the annihilation thunder in the black hole, his attack speed had already exceeded sublight speed. Even in the Divine Punishment Star, where his strength was reduced by 100 times, his attack speed was still 100 times faster than the speed of sound. The 2 of them fought speed with speed. In a second, they had already attacked each other thousands of times. Within a 5-meter radius, there was nothing but saber light and spear shadows. At the same time, there were countless sparks flying in all directions. Clang, 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 clang. This was the first time Shi Xiaomao had met someone faster than him in his splashing wind saber technique. He no longer had the time to attack. He could only use all his strength to brandish his long saber in an impenetrable manner to block Lin Jun's storm-like attacks. Swoosh! Lin Jun suddenly withdrew his spear. The clouds dispersed and the rain stopped. Shi Xiaomao was taken aback as his saber's momentum slowed down slightly. Lin Jun's time acceleration. This spear was as fast as lightning. Sure Xiaomao did not even have time to draw his saber. He could only lean back slightly, and the spear barely brushed past his shoulder. However, the spear had nailed the domain monarch behind him to death. A green light flashed, and the last domain monarch left. He withdrew his spear. Done. The battle with Sure Xiaomao, from beginning to end, only lasted for 5 seconds. With a raise of his hand, the 7-star saber circled around Lin Zhen's body. His gaze swept across everyone present. Are you here to kill me? Sure Xiaomao was already covered in cold sweat. He no longer looked down on Lin Zhen. Only now did he understand that the mission Liang Jihuan gave him was not easy. Boss Mad Saber, are you all right? Boss Mad Saber, don't worry. We're here. Let's kill this brat together. One World King after another rushed to Mad Saber's side, making him feel slightly more at ease. At this moment, a 4th-level World King cursed, Lin Zhen. You purposely pick on soft persimmons. Who do you think you are? It looks like this is my mistake. Killing those rookies doesn't give me many points. Here, I have to kill World Kings to earn more. All right, I apologize. I'll correct myself and kill all of you. Lin Zhen had been suppressing himself for a month. There were currently more than 10 million martial artists in this war zone. After killing 8 people in a row just now, his ranking had jumped into the top 1 million. These martial artists had all been here for a month. He had obtained half of their points, which was why he had his current ranking. But this was not enough. He had to obtain the most points and obtain a higher ranking. With a tap of his foot, he did not pick on soft persimmons this time. Instead, he attacked the strongest of the enemy, Mad Saber. Mad Saber was still in a state of shock. Seeing Lin Zhen attack again, he instinctively became timid. But there were still 10 World Kings beside him. He immediately roared, "Everyone, attack together!" Without needing Mad Saber's command, Lin Zhen dared to face the strongest of the enemy because he did not put these 10 World Kings in his eyes. Normally, these World Kings would not even look at the domain monarch. How could they be willing to be provoked by Lin Zhen? 10 people, including Mad Saber, a total of 11 World Kings began to surround Lin Zhen and beat him up. Lin Zhen sneered. Come, this is more like it. Mental Evil Spirit Attack. The first attack was the Mental Evil Spirit Attack. This attack was even stronger than the Mental Evil Spirit Attack. It originally originated from a World King called Yin Jun, but today, Lin Zhen's attack had surpassed the original's power. The 4th-level World King, who had cursed at Lin Zhen, was the first to be hit. The reason was none other than his cheap mouth. Lin Zhen had always hated people with cheap mouths. A 4th-level World King's mental power was only 99% of Sky Blue's. How could he compete with Lin Zhen's Golden Divine Infant's mental power? The other party also had a Heaven Artifact for mental defense, but it did not have much of an effect. The Heaven Artifact shattered into dust, and then his spiritual sea. Thousands of evil spirits roared and attacked with boundless fear. His brain died instantly. The moment his brain died, his divine power pulled his life back and eliminated him. Before his body could float away, his companions appeared. Lin Zhen's Mental Evil Spirit Attack opened up a gap in the group of World Kings, causing chaos to appear in their formation. Second move, Satellite Fall. His goal was precise. To deal with a 5th-level World King, Satellite Fall was more than enough. A celestial satellite fell from the heavens. A long spear pierced through the World King's body. The second World King was eliminated. Without any time to look at the jumping points, Lin Zhen's third move, Time Deceleration. 2 5th-level World Kings attacked from the left and right, but they suddenly felt as if they were moving at snail's pace. They knew the situation was bad, and it was too late for them to retreat. Lin Zhen's spear swung left and right. Twin dragons emerged from the sea. Third, fourth. The time deceleration field was immediately withdrawn. Because facing the attacks of so many World Kings, the time deceleration field could not be maintained for too long. Lin Zhen accelerated time once more. He drew back. When a 6th-level World King caught up to him, he suddenly decelerated once more. His left hand grasped his spear, and the phantom light sword appeared in his right hand. Heavenly splendor. Sword light flew out. If it weren't for the blue light, this 6th level World King would have died on the spot. The next 6th level World King jumped over his companion's corpse, wanting to attack him from the air. In his opinion, Lin Jun had already used up all of his methods, and it would be impossible for him to escape this attack. But what he saw was an unforgettable scene. Lin Jun grinned, and then suddenly transformed into armor. The black hole beast giant had appeared. It opened its bloody maw and swallowed the World King that had walked right into its trap. 5th, 6th. This fellow has a galaxy beast avatar. Everyone be careful. Mad Blade shouted from behind. 2 World Kings appeared behind Lin Jun. They had circled around and were looking for a chance to sneak attack him. But before they could attack, a cold chill spread out from behind them. Then a blue light flashed. They had also been eliminated. They turned around and saw another Lin Jun holding a long spear, smirking coldly at them. They wanted to sneak attack Lin Jun, but they didn't know that Lin Jun's avatars were already lying in ambush around them. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Instead, they were eliminated. With the appearance of the avatar, Lin Jun transformed back into his human form. His main body and avatar attacked together. This time, there were no tricks, only a frontal assault. The edged spear was held in the avatar's hands. The 2 spears attacked like a raging storm, completely suppressing the other 3, including Mad Blade. Puff! The 2 spears retracted. The frontal assault ended. The remaining 2 7th level World Kings were eliminated. Of the 11 World Kings, in less than 6 seconds, 10 had been eliminated. Although these people couldn't be considered peak powerhouses, they were still World Kings for better or worse. Yet, they were still slaughtered by a mere World King like Lin Jun. Lin Jun slowly looked at Mad Blade. You came here to kill me, so what are you just standing there for? Mad Blade's hands trembled. He couldn't imagine just what sort of enemy he faced. As a peak 9th level World King, he certainly wasn't someone those people could compare with. But this Lin Jun's strength had completely subverted his understanding of what a World King was. Lin Jun, Mad Blade desperately howled. Don't think that you can defeat me. Even if I die, I will let you experience my Mad Blade's glory. If you really eliminate me, the werewolf boss will not let you off. There were still people who didn't fear death. Moreover, this place was protected by the power of gods. Mad Blade knew that he couldn't escape, and his vicious nature was stimulated. He brandished his saber and rushed forwards without any defense. This is a bit interesting. Come, I'll fight you one-on-one. Putting away his avatar, Lin Jun raised his spear and rushed forwards. In the main hall of the Southern Liang Imperial Palace, Ning Qingxian felt that her eyes were blurry. Seeing Lin Jun's points jump continuously, she felt that all the humiliation and ridicule she had suffered just now was worth it. It wasn't appropriate to be excited at this time, but she couldn't help but feel proud. She felt proud of herself, proud of herself, proud of herself by 10,000 times. The Emperor of Western Zhou, the Emperor of Northern Wei, and their Empress all stared at the points dumbfounded. From 10,500 to 12,000. He was ranked 320,091. From 12,000 to 13,400. He was ranked 388,744. From 13,400 to 15,900. He was ranked 337,127. Before, he was ranked around 10 million, but in the blink of an eye, he was ranked around 300,000. This Lin Jun was crazy. The Emperor of Western Zhou revealed a smile that was uglier than crying. He said to Liang Jihuan, "Brother Liang, this is your fault. Are you working together with Lady Ning to put on an act? How is this someone who doesn't dare to act? This is simply a homicidal maniac." Yes, I didn't think that the Southern Liang had such a talent. We really misjudged him. The Emperor of Northern Wei also sighed. Chapter 691. If this had happened when he had just entered the Star of Divine Punishment, Mad Blade would have been a formidable opponent. He was a peak 9th level World King and was able to become the Emperor's Guard Captain. His strength was unquestionable. His star power level had reached 39,000. Here, 39,000 star power was equivalent to 9 million star power. It was almost the same as Lin Jun's 4 million star power. But now, he was no longer Lin Jun's match. There was no other reason. Lin Jun's mental strength completely crushed his. When Lin Jun used the baleful light to form a shield and swoop down from the sky, Mad Blade knew he was done for. To fly on the star of divine punishment, only a spirit reader could do so. And the minimum requirement was that the martial artist had to have a divine soul. For someone like Lin Jun to fly around on a shield, the average divine soul would not be able to do so. Only a peak bronze or silver soul would be able to do so easily. Mad Blade Sure Xiaomao had also condensed a divine soul, but it was only a late-stage bronze divine soul. Although he could fly, the difference between him and Lin Jun was like the difference between a moth and a goshawk. Lin Jun could fly and attack. Flying was tantamount to suicide. Lin Jun was already in an invincible position. After blocking Lin Jun's 3 swooping attacks, Sure Xiaomao could not hold on any longer. Lin Jun, I'll fight you to the death. The center door opened wide as thousands of saber beams burst out. Astral Chi erupted like volcanoes, crashing over with his saber. Lin Jun's eyes narrowed. His early-stage gold divine soul shot out with a rainbow spear. Ignoring all physical attacks and defenses, the divine soul shot straight into the saber beams. Lin Jun put away his spear and walked forward. As he walked, he said, "You can't win a battle just by relying on your craziness and ferocious saber techniques. You also need some brains." The divine soul returned, and the saber beams that filled the sky dissipated. Sure Xiaomao staggered 2 steps, and just as he was about to fall, he was enveloped by a green light and shot through the air. He was eliminated. After killing Sure Xiaomao, Lin Jun's points once again jumped by a large margin. Just a moment ago, he was still in the 330,000 range with 15,900 points. Now he had reached 23,000 points, and his ranking had risen to 188,722. 200,000 just like that. Killing people is indeed the fastest way to level up. Lin Jun tidied up his messy clothes and walked toward the city. He didn't know when the border would be opened. Maybe 3 months, maybe 1 or 2 years, but a ranking of 180,000 was definitely not enough. If he couldn't be ranked in the top few in a battle zone, he wouldn't have much competition after the border was opened. At most, he would be able to get the divine transformation chi, but he wouldn't be able to get the opportunity to refine his godly body. The entire Star of God Punishment had 400 small battle zones. Each battle zone had 1 champion, which meant they needed 400 people. However, there were only 100 chances to quench the god body. In other words, the champion of 300 battle zones couldn't get such a chance. As he walked, the fiendish light once again transformed into a shuttle-shaped shield. It carried Lin Jun's body and flew straight into the city. The guy with 0 points in southern Liang was no longer 0 points. His ranking shot up by tens of millions in one go. This incident also attracted some attention in the dimensional universe. However, that was all. What people really paid attention to was the top rankers in each battle zone. In the banquet in southern Liang's palace, Sure Xiaomao was kneeling on the ground. He didn't dare to look at the gloomy emperor. At this moment, the emperors of Western Zhou and Northern Wei had been arranged to stay in their palaces. Ning Qingxian had also excused herself with Liang Jihuan. Since there was no need to accompany the guests, Ning Qingxian didn't want to stay here for another minute. It would make Liang Jihuan's heart ache. In the palace, only Liang Jihuan and Sure Xiaomao were present. Lin Jun eliminated you? Yes, Your Majesty. Your humble servant is incompetent. Please punish me. Let's not talk about whether you're guilty or not. Tell me about Lin Jun's situation. Your Majesty, perhaps our previous estimates were wrong. Since this Lin Jun was able to withstand a few moves from the Empress, it means that his strength is at the level of a world king. It won't be easy to kill him. Then in your opinion, Lin Jun is unstoppable on the Star of Divine Punishment. No, your humble servant has personally fought with him. In truth, his strength is on par with your humble servant's. However, His mental strength is far too strong. He has completely suppressed me. If we can invite a World King Master to appear, then we should have a chance of killing him. Liang Jihuan narrowed his eyes. Although what Shi Xiaomao said was correct, Lin Jun was currently on the Star of Divine Punishment. The dimensional universe was blocked, so how could they contact the people inside? Seeing Liang Jihuan's thoughts, Shi Xiaomao said, "Your Majesty, you don't need to worry too much. Lin Jun eliminating me has also left behind a hidden danger. On the Star of Divine Punishment, when Lin Jun killed the World King by my side, I felt that something was wrong. I have already passed the news to my boss on the Star of Divine Punishment, Werewolf. As long as Werewolf takes action, Lin Jun will undoubtedly be defeated. I hope so. However, don't place all your hopes on Werewolf. Think of other methods. If possible, the initiative should be in our hands. There's only one bottom line. We cannot allow Lin Jun to enter the top 10 million rankings. Your Majesty, don't worry. That Lin Jun is arrogant and domineering. I think it will be difficult for him to survive in the 68th battle zone until the borders are opened, much less the overall rankings." Liang Jihuan nodded slightly. However, he was still not completely at ease. This matter involved his bet with Ning Qingxian, so he absolutely could not be careless. A gust of wind blew across the street, causing the electric poles to sway in the wind. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two figures ran all the way along the line of the electric wires. When they accelerated, they could easily jump from one electric pole to another. Their amazing jumping ability made people speechless. The person in front was anxious from the pursuit. He suddenly turned his head and shot out a series of hidden weapons. When he shot out his hidden weapons, the person chasing after him also shot out his hidden weapons. A flying knife tore through space and arrived first, cutting down the person running in front of him. His body fell from the electric pole, and before he landed, he was enveloped by an azure light and eliminated. Blackie Lin, you lunatic, you dare to act so presumptuously in the Northwest District. Werewolf will not let you off. The warrior roared through the azure light, but before he could finish, he had already disappeared. Werewolf, 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 is that your catchphrase? Do you think I will stop just because you say your name? Then what am I doing here? Lin Jun glanced at his own ranking. He was ranked 10,012 in the 68th battle zone. He was about to enter the top 10,000. He had been on the Star of Divine Punishment for 3 months. At the beginning, after his ranking soared by tens of millions, he did not stop attacking. He began to kill wantonly in the Northwest District. No matter if it was a human or a dead creature, when they met Lin Jun, only death awaited them. Moreover, Lin Jun was ruthless. People called him Blackie Lin, and he could be considered as the #1 figure in the Northwest District. After killing this person, Lin Jun looked left and right. The sky above Kanglin Street was empty. There were very few undead creatures here, and there were also very few warriors. After 3 months of fighting, there were only less than 3 million warriors left in the 68th battle zone out of the original 25 million warriors. The situation where there were people everywhere had disappeared. If he wanted to kill someone, he had to search everywhere. Lin Jun came to the door of a convenience store. The Star of Divine Punishment had only appeared for 2 years. The technology and living environment here was similar to that of Earth during the Christian era. Sometimes, Lin Jun felt like he had returned to Earth. Pushing open the door of the convenience store, Lin Jun walked in. He rummaged through the shelves for a while and found a bottle of white wine. He took out some food and slowly ate it. Although I've been trying my best to catch up in the past 3 months, my efficiency isn't very high because many undead creatures move at night, and those true experts also go out to kill undead creatures at night. Those who move during the day are basically small fries. Nighttime is the world of big shots. Only those who are ranked in the top 10,000 or even in the top 1,000 or 2,000 can run wild at night. Otherwise, they are not qualified to survive in the dark. If I continue to act during the day, my harvest is already very small. From today onwards, I will enter the night. Since they named me Black Lin, I will be in the dark until the end. Lin Jun picked up the bottle of white wine and gulped it down. Then he sat down and meditated, waiting for the night to come. In the past 3 months, he had never neglected his cultivation. As the elixir pills were absorbed with the star crystal, the side effects were very small. In another 2 to 3 months, he would be able to advance to a level 9 region monarch. The expansion of his inner world was also very smooth. In another half a year, his inner world would continue to light up new ominous stars. Also, Lin Jun's mind power had already reached the later stage of the gold rank. The gold transformation had reached 80%. This was Lin Jun's cultivation speed. With the advantage of the black hole beast devouring and the fact that he knew how to refine elixir pills, he could bring the materials to devour. His cultivation speed would definitely crush anyone. If the Star of Divine Punishment was activated for 30 years, no, 20 years, Lin Jun dared to say that he would definitely be able to defeat everyone on this planet without blinking an eye. Later stage of the gold rank. If my mind power can advance to the dark gold rank, I dare to say that the number of people on the Star of Divine Punishment who have mind power comparable to mine will not be more than 5. Night gradually fell on the Star of God's Punishment. There was a layer of force field outside the Star of Divine Punishment that was isolated by the gods. It prevented people from leaving and also prevented the signals from the dimensional universe from entering. However, the pale moonlight in the sky seemed to be getting brighter. It was not a normal brightness. Every time the moon rose, even the martial artists who were ranked at the top had to be careful. This was because all the super undead creatures would come out to bathe in the moonlight. The giant lizards in the past grew wings and turned into zombie-like dragons that were invulnerable to swords and spears. They soared in the sky. In the past, the warriors on this planet rode on war horses after they died. They stepped on black hellfire and turned into ferocious undead knights, walking through the streets in groups. Occasionally, a group of bats would fly into the sky and cover the sun. When they landed on a tall building, they would turn into human figures with pale faces and luxurious clothes. Those were vampires. In Lin Jun's battle zone, there was once a martial artist who was ranked first. However, he was eliminated by a group of undead knights. Chapter 692. The pale moonlight shone through the window. Lin Jun let out a light breath. Another round of training had been completed. All right, from today onwards, I will train during the day and act at night. After tidying up, Lin Jun jumped out of the window for the first time in the night. After leaving the house, Lin Jun didn't go to higher ground. Under the moonlight at night, moving in high places was simply courting death. He would be discovered by the dragons and vampire bats in the sky. Only the dark alleys and the complex residential buildings were the best places to hide. I'm currently in the Northwest City District. This is the territory of the werewolves. The werewolves' lair is in the stadium. Today, I'll go to the Flourishing Garden. There are many black warriors there. Many martial artists like to move there. Not only can they kill the undead there, but they can also kill people. Summoning Fiend Light as a flying medium, Lin Jun flew 3 meters off the ground. He silently crossed the street and headed towards the Flourishing Garden. Lin Jun wasn't the only one moving at night. Most martial artists like to go out at night. If a night's operation went smoothly, then their harvest would be equivalent to 3 days' worth. It was just like online games. Many players liked to fight, but there were even more loners. They preferred to kill monsters by themselves or with a few friends. Martial artists were also people. There wasn't much difference between real life and games. It was just that when killing monsters, one had to be careful at all times. They had to be careful of the sudden appearance of malicious PK players, such as Lin Jun. After flying for a dozen kilometers, Lin Jun suddenly stopped. He saw 2 martial artists at the corner of a street. They were leaping up and down, working together to attack an undead bison. The bison was comparable in size to an elephant. Its blood-red eyes shined brightly in the dark night. Beneath its feet were black and red flames. This was the symbol of an undead creature. The 2 martial artists were both world kings. Their coordination was tacit, and their attacks were sharp. The bison was on the verge of collapse. Lin Jun's lips curved in a smile. He stepped on his shield and dash forward at extremely high speed. Kill. Kill steal. Lin Jun currently had over 70,000 points. This bison was worth nearly 1,000 points. It was considered a high-level undead creature. Whether it was killing people or monsters, it was a profit. Just as the two martial artists were about to succeed, they suddenly saw Lin Jun dashing over. They immediately looked like a cat with its hair standing on end. F***CK. Lin Haizi, you dare to steal my brother's monster? Lin Jun couldn't see them clearly when he was far away. Only when he got closer did he see them clearly. These two were actually the werewolf's direct subordinates, his underlings. The fact that they were killing monsters here proved that the werewolves were not far from here. Even if the werewolves were not here, most people would not dare to touch them. After all, the werewolves were the kings of the northwestern region. Lin Jun paused for a moment. Werewolves, subordinates. It's good that you know. Although the Star of Divine Punishment requires constant battles, no one can be so arrogant as to keep killing people. Later on, when the border is opened, you still have to choose to follow a boss. The werewolf boss is one of the top 10 existences in this area. In fact, you've already been blacklisted by the werewolf boss. It's just that your current ranking is too low to attract his attention. If you continue to be arrogant, you won't even know how you died. Oh, I'm blacklisted? Ha ha ha. You still don't know, right? But I heard that you seduced an imperial concubine from the southern Liang to get a spot on the Star of Divine Punishment. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be qualified to come here. Although I admire your courage for cuckolding the old emperor, those imperial concubines are all old women who have given birth to many children. You actually dared to go down there. Ha ha ha. How does it feel to crawl under your skirt? If a piece of trash like you wants to follow the werewolf boss, you have to behave in front of your grandfather. Lin Jun's expression became gloomy. He didn't think that there would be such a rumor. It even involved an imperial concubine. As expected, the more it spread, the more ridiculous it became. He didn't know who started the rumor, but the only good thing about this rumor was that it wouldn't cause too much harm to Xian'er. However, this person's mouth was too cheap. Lin Jun hated this kind of trash. With a turn of his feet, the fiendish light shield's speed soared again. He raised his hand and threw the 7-star saber at the person who spoke. Who told you to talk cheap? The 7-star saber contained the power of space. As soon as the 7-star saber was thrown, it was already in front of the martial artist's chest, not giving him any time to react. However, this martial artist was also quite good. In the entire 68th district, he was ranked in the top 10,000. When he saw the flying saber coming, he actually put his palms together at the critical moment and used the child-worshipping Guanyin technique to catch Lin Jun's flying saber. Lin Jun, don't think that us brothers are rookies that you can kill as you please. Your flying saber is only SOSO. As the martial artist spoke, he was already stuttering and shivering. His hands were already covered in a thick layer of ice. Lin Jun's 7-star saber wasn't just a flying saber, but a hidden weapon that contained a powerful energy element. This flying saber contained a temperature of nearly 200 degrees below zero. How could it be so easily touched? Seeing his companion like this, the other martial artist was decisive. He immediately shot out a series of long-range attacks at Lin Jun and then plunged into the darkness, desperately fleeing for his life. If a 9th-level world king wanted to run away, it wouldn't be easy to chase after him in this dark terrain. Lin Jun brandished the long spear in his hand and stabbed the charging undead bison to death. Then, he dealt another blow to the warrior who was sealed in ice. Right now, I don't like the name Wolfman. The only meaning of his existence is to be a stepping stone on my path. As for you, you must be a martial artist from Southshine. I've decided to return to the real world and settle accounts with you. This is the price for insulting me, for insulting the people I love. A series of spear thrusts, each strike aimed at the boy's lower body. He wouldn't die for a while, but he would be in incomparable pain. The martial artist painfully howled. At the start, he still held onto the hope that someone would save him. Finally, he wanted to blow himself up, but before he could, he was eliminated by Lin Jun. This wasn't the virtual world. The blue light had saved his life, but it wasn't responsible for his light wounds. His lower body had been pierced by Lin Jun, and he needed to be properly treated. The martial artist was eliminated. Lin Jun's ranking jumped up once more, reaching the 6,900s. My ranking was originally close to 10,000. This boy should have been around 6,000. Now that I've obtained half of his points, my harvests aren't small. I've directly entered the top 7,000. However, Lin Jun didn't stay here for long. Perhaps he would eventually fight the Wolfman, but he didn't want to go looking for him everywhere. That would be too tiring. He wanted the Wolfman to come find him. The other person who was with the martial artist escaped. After he left, he madly ran toward a tall building. That was the location of the Wolfman's hunting tonight. The Wolfman's goal was to kill a giant zombie king. He ran all the way here. After reporting, he met the Wolfman in front of the zombie king's lair. The Wolfman's operation wasn't going well. He was confronting someone in front of the zombie king's lair. Tonight, he brought a few dozen people with him, but he didn't expect to meet his opponent. The other party was only one person, a red-haired youth with a long sword in his hand. He stood at the entrance of the zombie king's lair with a cold smile on his face, blocking all of the werewolf's troops outside. The Wolfman had a head of messy long hair. His mouth bulged outwards. He was tall and thin, with slender arms. His pair of eyes emitted a faint green light in the dark night. He was even scarier than a ghost. If this guy squatted down and the hair on his body was denser, he would look like a giant wolf that ate people. He didn't have the bloodline of a galactic beast, but a wolf, a very pure wolf. What did you say? Little Light was eliminated? Beside the werewolf, a hot girl with 2 metal sequins on her chest and a pair of black leather shorts exclaimed in surprise. This woman was the Wolfman's lover. They met temporarily on the Star of Divine Punishment. She was a 9th-level world king and had the bloodline of a high-level galactic beast demon spider. Everyone called her Black Widow. She was also one of the top 100 supermasters of the 68th district. Little Light was the martial artist that was killed by Lin Jun. He was the Black Widow's little brother. It was quite a coincidence that the 2 siblings were assigned to the same district. When they arrived here, the Black Widow got close to the Wolfman, and Little Light also rose with the tide. They didn't expect that he would be eliminated by Lin Jun. Yes, sister-in-law. Brother Light was eliminated by someone called Lin Jun. Moreover, when I was running, I saw that Lin Jun was stabbing Brother Light with his spear. That brat is too arrogant. Even if Brother Light leaves the Star of Divine Punishment, he will still be miserable. Then why the fuck did you come back? The Black Widow's complexion changed. She waved her hand, and countless spider webs flew out from behind her, instantly binding the martial artist tightly. A slender proboscis shot out from her mouth and pierced into the martial artist's abdomen. You abandoned my little brother and ran for your life. I will suck you dry. The martial artist, wrapped in spider webs, couldn't endure it any longer. He wanted to blow himself up. But before he could succeed, the Wolfman had already struck out like lightning, stabbing towards his chest. With a flash of blue light, the martial artist was judged to be dead and eliminated. The Wolfman resentfully retracted his hand. That damn divine light protection. Otherwise, I would have been able to grab a fresh heart. After he finished speaking, he turned to the red-haired youth. Luo Fei, I'm not afraid of you. Today, my brother-in-law was eliminated. As a new brother-in-law, I can't just stand by and watch. I won't fight with you for this zombie king title. Let's meet again another day. Humph. At least you know what's good for you. Luo Fei withdrew his sword and watched as the Wolfman led the Black Widow's group away. As one of the top 10 masters, he was confident in himself. But as a lone ranger, he wasn't willing to fight with the Wolfman's group. It was best if the Wolfman gave up on his own accord. Luo Fei raised his sword and entered the zombie king's lair. It seemed he would have a great harvest tonight. Chapter 694. News. Latest news from the Star of Divine Punishment. Qin Jianfeng is leading the Western Continent's 12th battle zone. His throne is unshakable. The king of the Southern Continent, Boston, defeated 7 experts in a row and secured the first place in the battle zone. The competition in the Northern Continent is intense. The Saintess of the Phoenix clan is stunning. She has become a goddess in the primordial realm. In the 68th battle zone of the Eastern Continent, Lin Jun who was once thought to be a coward, went berserk. His ranking kept rising, and he has entered the top 1,000 in the battle zone. Sir, do you want a copy of the newspaper? News about the Star of Divine Punishment was everywhere in the primordial realm, be it in bars, restaurants, or tea houses. Compared to the information in the dimensional universe, newspapers were also very popular. After all, reading newspapers slowly was a form of leisure that many people liked. The Star of Divine Punishment is so lively recently. There are so many heroes and geniuses. Yeah, but I think the crown prince of the great Qin Empire, Qin Jianfeng, will get the super godly body tempering spot. That's right. I'm also a hardcore fan of Qin Jianfeng. He's too strong. Have you heard? Ever since Qin Jianfeng picked up a sword to compete with others, he has always been challenging those of a higher level. He has never lost, not even once. Another person joined in the discussion. Is it as exaggerated as you say? He's a crown prince. Who dares to beat him? Maybe they just let him win. Ha ha ha. You're ignorant. After Qin Jianfeng picked up the sword, he left the Qin Empire alone. He has always been adventuring and fighting. He once swore that if he lost a battle, he would cut his long hair short. But now his hair has reached his ankles. He has no choice but to tie his hair around his neck. He can't lose even if he wants to. Yeah, I also think Qin Jianfeng is the strongest. But it's hard to say. Boston of the Southern Continent is also very strong. He has never been defeated in his life. This time, he defeated 7 experts in a row. The first place in the battle zone is unshakable. You like heroes, but I like beauties more. Feng Qingwan. Oh, ever since I saw her, I've been suffering from insomnia for several consecutive nights. Not only is she strong, but she's also ridiculously beautiful. If she could be my girlfriend, I'm willing to live 1,000 years less. You'd better save it. A woman like Feng Qingwan can't be coveted by anyone. If you want to marry her, you can't control her if you don't have something. Why do you think that Lin Jun is suddenly so excited? I used to laugh at that kid. But recently, he was ranked last in the entire Star of God's Punishment. He has become one of the top 1,000 warriors in their battle zone. Could it be that this kid still has a chance to obtain a wisp of divine transformation aura? It's hard to say, but Lin Jun is from the New Territories. This kind of commoner martial artist has a lot of fans supporting him. After the battle on the Star of Divine Punishment, many people have taken him as their inspirational idol. He's really lucky. Yes, but I think that Lin Jun will stop here. I heard that his actions are too unscrupulous. The big shots in his battle zone are hunting him down. Some people say that in the next 1 or 2 days, there will definitely be big news from the 68th battle zone of the Eastern Continent. Let's wait and see. I hope that the more lively it is, the better. Similar discussions were happening everywhere in the primordial realm. Those warriors who were ranked at the top had the support of a large number of people. For example, Lin Jun, who was ranked in the top 1,000 in a small battle zone, could be so famous because he had once been ranked last in the Yuan realm. Instead, he attracted a lot of attention. However, Lin Jun didn't care about this kind of attention. What he cared about now was the people who had been hunting him down. The Wolfman and the Black Widow. Ever since he killed the person who mocked him, Lin Jun had gained a group of small followers. The Black Widow had a tracking talent called clues. She could follow a person's scent and didn't give Lin Jun any chance to catch his breath. As a result, Lin Jun hadn't returned to the convenience store to rest for many days. It wasn't that Lin Jun didn't want to stay and fight. The Wolfman was leading a large group of people. If Lin Jun fought alone, he didn't have full confidence. He didn't want any accidents to happen, so he could only hide temporarily. After hiding in the city for more than 10 days, Lin Jun had had enough. This can't go on. In a residential building, Lin Jun hastily ate some food and looked out the window at a group of warriors rushing into the building. The one leading them was the Black Widow. They had caught up to him. Among the crowd, the tall Wolfman was particularly eye-catching. Lin Jun hadn't fought with him yet. My ranking has been improving these days. I'm currently ranked 920th in the war zone. However, this isn't enough. If I want to fight with the Wolfman, the first person I have to deal with is the Black Widow. Otherwise, this woman will lead a large group of people to chase after me. I won't be able to rest. It seems that I need to use some means. Lin Jun secretly made up his mind. He glanced at the residential building. It was completely abandoned and could be used for an ambush. After observing the route of those people for a while, Lin Jun had figured out some patterns. The Black Widow is an expert ranked in the top 100 in this region. Her star power should be higher than mine. Relying on her high star power, she has always acted arrogantly. Even if she wants to catch me, she will rush in front. The distance between the Wolfman and her is about 100 meters. However, in a complex building, 100 meters is like the end of the world. It's enough to do a lot of things. Over here. Hurry up. The Black Widow ran at the front of the group. In order to avenge her brother, she couldn't wait to kill Lin Jun with her own hands. The Wolfman followed far behind. He believed in the Black Widow's ability. Even if it wasn't enough to guarantee that she could kill Lin Jun wouldn't be able to do anything to her in a short period of time. Moreover, he would be entangled by her and wouldn't be able to escape. The Black Widow could feel Lin Jun's presence more and more clearly. He was on the 7th floor in front of her. Without waiting for her companions, she opened her hands and shot out 2 spider silks. They firmly held onto the window frame and pulled her body up into the air. She nimbly entered the room and lightly landed on the ground. Before she landed, she saw Lin Jun clenching his fists and sneering at her. It's such a cold day. Don't you feel cold wearing so little? Let me help you warm up. Finger flick sword chi. Apart from the thumb, the other 4 fingers on each hand flicked repeatedly at an extremely high speed. Sword chi whizzed over like a machine gun. At such a close distance, even if the Black Widow's body could desperately twist like a snake, she couldn't completely dodge Lin Jun's sword chi. Soon, her leg was hit. A bloody hole appeared. The Black Widow let out a mournful howl. Suddenly, the spider silks all over her body exploded like a fairy scattering flowers, instantly filling the entire room. Lin Jun, if you want to kill me, turn into a cocoon for me first. Layers of spider webs appeared and actually blocked Lin Jun's sword chi. Insignificant skill. Break for me. Lin Jun waved his hand and a 7-star blade with flame energy shot out. The dark green flames on it wreaked havoc and instantly burned the surrounding spider webs. A powerful aura rushed over from outside the window. The Wolfman was about to arrive. Time waits for no one. Lin Jun transferred his star energy. 4 million star energy instantly turned into 7 million. He raised his spear and attacked the Black Widow. Facing Lin Jun, whose strength suddenly increased, the Black Widow immediately realized that she wasn't a match for him. However, it was too late to escape. She simply pulled down her bra. White Huahua's 2 breasts jumped in the air. She stuck out her chest and winked at Lin Jun. Handsome, I originally thought that I could distract Lin Jun for a moment. However, I didn't expect the opponent's spear to stab over without stopping and instantly kill me. Seeing the Black Widow's body rise into the air, Lin Jun spat. Hey, if you had Qing Wan or Xian Air's beauty, perhaps you would have succeeded. Unfortunately, with my 2 future wives in front of you, you are nothing. After killing the Black Widow, Lin Jun's ranking instantly soared from around 900 to 101st. The Black Widow was an expert in the top 100. After obtaining half of her points and adding his own points, Lin Jun's ranking soared by more than 800. He was about to enter the top 100. Seeing the Black Widow eliminated, the Wolfman who was about to enter the building was about to explode from anger. It wasn't just because she was eliminated. It was because the Black Widow flew out with her upper body naked. No matter what race he was, as long as he was a man, he wouldn't like his woman to be seen by others. The Wolfman was no exception. At this moment, he felt that his wolf head had turned green. He didn't think that the Black Widow took off her clothes herself. Perhaps it was Lin Jun who took them off. Then, he thought of the legend of Lin Jun, cuckolding the Southern Liang Emperor. The Wolfman only felt anger burning in him. He roared, Lin Jun, you pervert who specializes in playing with other people's wives. I will eat you. Lin Jun had transferred his star energy and was at his peak state. He originally wanted to fight the Wolfman, but when he heard this, a drop of cold sweat dripped down from his head. When did he have such a reputation? If this reputation were to spread, anyone with a beautiful wife in the entire universe would have to keep their wives far away from them in the future. Although Lin Jun was already very satisfied with Ning, Su Mingyue, Little Phoenix, and Xian Er, this reputation still made him feel very wronged. Even if I like women, I won't be interested in trash like your woman. Die. Originally, Lin Jun didn't want to meet the Wolfman for the time being after killing the Black Widow. He wanted to wait until he advanced to a level 9 region monarch to have more confidence. However, he couldn't care less now. He jumped out of the window and pierced the Wolfman's head with his spear. Mountain quaking spear technique. He couldn't use a powerful killer move like Planetfall here, but he could still use his spear technique. This move still had the power to shake mountains. More importantly, the Wolfman felt that Lin Jun had launched this attack in a state of rage. Chapter 695. Ever since his last battle with Ning Qingxian, Lin Jun had discovered that his Star Force transfer wasn't limitless. Every time he transferred his Star Force, it would take around half an hour. Moreover, within a month, the space stone that connected his Dantian to the dark star space would dim. It would take another month for it to recover. Thus, he didn't want to use Star Force transfer so easily. He wanted to rely on his own strength to fight. But now that things had come to this point, he didn't want to delay any longer. He might as well take advantage of the Star Force transfer and deal with the werewolf in a single go. The mountain-shaking spear art was bold and powerful, sending the werewolf flying back. Although the werewolf was strong, he still couldn't compare with the original Huahua Tai Sui. Moreover, Lin Jun now had 7 million Star Force points. His strength was above the werewolf's. The werewolf's body fell from the sky. Before he landed, he roared out, "Everyone attack! Kill this brat!" As he spoke, he quickly swallowed a pill. His Star Force also rose to a level where he was on par with Lin Jun. If Lin Jun were to swallow a divine power pill now, then he would be able to easily kill everyone. But the weakness period was also fatal, thus he couldn't use it so easily. A group of world kings rushed forwards. Lin Jun's thoughts stirred, and the 7-star saber appeared. Bring as many as you can. Stepping on his shield, Lin Jun didn't fly too high or too far away. In this small district, he fought with dozens of world kings. With 7 million Star Force and Soul Force, he was able to crush his opponents. Moreover, he could freely fly and dodge. This wasn't an advantage that could be obtained just because they had more people. This 20-minute-long battle video was recorded by a martial artist. Because he was too focused on the video, this second-level world king didn't even realize that an undead creature had approached him and was eliminated. But this video of Lin Jun fighting numerous world kings still exploded within the dimensional universe. Once last place on the entire Star of Divine Punishment, now he is fighting 40 world kings alone. The battle is fierce and explosive. Please watch the rise of a new star of the Eastern continent. The eye-catching title attracted the attention of countless people, and the video was pushed to the top 3 trending posts. In the images, Lin Jun was bathed in blood as he fought. World kings fell beneath his spear or flying knife. Although they were wounded all over, his astonishing strength still shocked everyone, especially in the final battle between Lin Jun and the werewolf. Both of their blades drew blood, and their fists landed on flesh. The werewolf, who was known for his strong body, was actually beaten to a pulp by Lin Jun. His entire lower body was almost turned into meat paste before he was eliminated by Lin Jun. After this battle, Lin Jun's ranking in the 68th district jumped from 101st place to 4th place. One had to know that apart from Lin Jun, there were no other domain monarchs in the top 100. This was a miracle that belonged to the domain monarch. Lin Jun had already entered the sights of the people of the primordial realm. Although many people suspected that Lin Jun had taken medicine, no one cared about it. So what if he had taken medicine? If he had the ability, he could take it too. The medicinal ingredients refined by alchemists were for others to eat. This was not a problem at all. Moreover, even if he had taken medicine, it was still worth affirming that he had such strong combat strength. Countless people in the dimensional universe wanted to add Lin Jun as a friend. There was even a dedicated fan club formed. Many people believed that Lin Jun was qualified to receive a soul formation aura. Lin Jun obtained 4th place in the battle zone, and this set off a huge wave in the southern Liang. The commoners congratulated him, and countless people in the dimensional universe posted every day. Lin Jun, the pride of the southern Liang. The primordial realm is a world of heroes. Lin Jun is the hero in my heart. I've heard some rumors about Lin Jun, but this time, I'm on his side. How are legends born? This is a story that Lin Jun and I have to tell. Asterisk, 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 crack. The crystal wine glass shattered in the hall. The beauty, who had been silent with her head lowered, raised her head and looked at the angry emperor on the dragon throne. Xian'er, do you think you've won? Liang Jihuan's eyes shone fiercely. For the first time, he lost his temper at Ning Qingxian. Are you questioning me? A faint coldness appeared in Ning Qingshuan's eyes. This man liked her, but she did not like him. For the benefit of the sect, Ning Qingxian chose to be the empress. However, she was not happy. She felt guilty toward the man she liked. She did not think that he would dare to lose his temper at her. Sensing Ning Qingshuan's coldness, Liang Jihuan's anger instantly subsided by half. He was a little anxious. He was at a loss for what to do with Lin Jun's sudden explosive results. Moreover, Ning Qingshuan's happy expression had indeed stimulated him. No, he had to calm down. He could not ruin the plan. Xian'er, say no more. I'm tired. I'll go back first. Ning Qingxian did not want to stay a second longer. She stood up and left. Looking at Ning Qingshuan's back, Liang Jihuan's face was gloomy. After a while, he called Shi Xiaomao over. Have you contacted the Canon clan's martial artist? Your Majesty, I've found one. However, he's in the 32nd battle zone. He can only be used after the border opens. Good. Lin Jun is already 4th in their battle zone. As long as he doesn't seek death, he should still be alive when the border opens. At that time, I will not allow any more mistakes. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Currently, the Northwest City District was in chaos. The werewolves were eliminated by Lin Jun. The Northwest City had no leader. Moreover, Lin Jun was not a werewolf. He was a lone ranger who walked in the darkness. No matter who it was, he would ambush them. There was no way to follow such a lone ranger. Moreover, with Lin Jun around, ordinary people did not have the qualifications and courage to fight for the position of leader. The martial artists could only be extra careful, especially when night fell. They had to be careful of Lin Jun when they went out. This was their consensus. However, in the past few days, Lin Jun seemed to have disappeared. His points did not increase anymore. He had slipped from 4th to 6th. No one knew what he was doing. When the Star of God's Punishment was in its 4th month, it finally entered the countdown for the border opening. After 31 days, the border would open. The battle zones would be able to communicate with each other. The top 3 martial artists in each battle zone would automatically receive the guaranteed soul formation chi as a reward. In other words, as long as you maintained your position in the top 3 when the border opened, you would receive the soul formation chi regardless of whether you were eliminated after the border opened. You would retain your position in the top 100,000. The soul formation chi was very important. It was the key for a martial artist to achieve immortality. Although there were many immortal temples on the continent, compared to the countless population, they were simply too few. Therefore, the goal of most martial artists was the soul formation chi. For a time, the top 3 in each battle zone became the target of scorn. Everyone wanted to beat them up. In many battle zones, the top 3 martial artists were replaced like a revolving lantern. Many experts were actually eliminated under the siege of many people. Then, there were newcomers who won the spots, but they were quickly taken away by others. Only the absolute powerhouses would be able to keep their spots. However, the top 3 in the 68 battle zones of the Eastern Continent were all experts. Currently, the first in the 68 battle zones was Chun Tianpeng, a martial artist from the North Sea, with 180,000 points. The second was Luo Fei, a martial artist from the Great Han Dynasty, with 130,000 points. The third was Wanren Tu, a martial artist from the Great Xia dynasty, with 120,000 points. The fourth was Ming Yao, a martial artist from the East Sea, with 65,000 points. The fifth was Zhou Xinghai, a martial artist from the East Hua dynasty, with 62,000 points. The sixth was Lin Zhun, a martial artist from the Southern Liang dynasty, with 60,000 points. There was a huge gap between the third and fourth place. This was mainly because during this period, there were too many ordinary martial artists who overestimated themselves and challenged the top three. Not only did these people fail to defeat the top three, but they were also eliminated, giving a lot of points to others for free. This caused a huge gap between the third and fourth place. Their battle zone had a big gap between the strong and the weak. People said that anyone in the top three could take first place in other battle zones. However, when these three top experts gathered together, the top three were firmly controlled by them. Moreover, they had a tacit understanding with each other. If they didn't fight to the death, no one would be able to cross these three mountains. People were also looking forward to someone defeating the top three. In this way, others might be able to benefit. At the end of Kanglin Street, in the center of the city, there was an old swimming pool. It used to be the lair of a group of black warriors. The black warriors were creatures of the dead who knew how to work together. They were more difficult to deal with and were considered a forbidden area for ordinary martial artists. However, there were no more black warriors here now. However, it was even more terrifying than when the black warriors were here, because this was the lair of the #1 martial artist, the #1 swordsman of the northern underworld, Chun Tianpeng. Chun Tianpeng had 4,900 long swords, all of which were inserted in the stadium. Each of them was his weapon. This place was now named the Sword Tomb. Near the Sword Tomb, there were corpses of undead creatures everywhere. There was also the blood of human martial artists. Recently, too many people had come to challenge Chun Tianpeng. However, no one could retreat unscathed. They would definitely leave blood here. On the contrary, Chun Tianpeng's first place was still unshakable. At the Sword Tomb, the sword energy was still soaring to the sky. For ordinary martial artists, if they couldn't win the top three, there was no need to fight too hard. Their only goal was to wait until the border opened and strive to survive. They might not be able to get the divine transformation chi in the end. However, if they couldn't survive to the end, they definitely couldn't get the divine transformation chi. Therefore, the Sword Tomb was the most terrifying place in the 68th battle zone. Especially in recent times, no one dared to approach here, lest Chun Tianpeng think they were provoking him. However, in the world of martial artists, there would always be some people who dared to challenge the peak. Chapter 696. Lin Zhun had been recuperating for a month now. Lin Zhun was also badly injured in the last battle with the werewolf. After all, the werewolf star power was close to 7 million after taking the medicine. Without using the Black Hole Devour or the Divine Power Pill, it was not easy for Lin Zhun to win, especially when the werewolf had many helpers. After recuperating for such a long time, Lin Zhun left the convenience store when he could use star power transfer again. The first thing he wanted to do when he came out was to challenge. He was currently ranked 6th, which still did not satisfy Lin Zhun. The border would open in 31 days. Lin Zhun also wanted to get into the top 3 in advance. Since he was going to challenge, Lin Zhun wanted to challenge the peak. He even ignored Wan Rintu and Luo Fei and directly challenged Chun Tianpeng. After walking through the long street, some martial artists hiding in the dark saw that Lin Zhun did not have any intention to pay attention to them. Instead, he went straight to the sword catacomb. They were suddenly interested. There was even a brave man who ran to a telephone pole close to Lin Zhun and shouted at Lin Zhun, "Lin Zhun, are you going to challenge Chun Tianpeng?" Lin Zhun nodded slightly and did not say anything. He continued walking forward. When a martial artist saw this, he jumped down from the telephone pole and followed Lin Zhun, wanting to see what was going on. The news spread like wildfire. More and more martial artists gathered at Surging Wave Street. It was as if a bird had grown wings. Although challenges had been very frequent recently, challenges between the top 10 martial artists were still very rare. This was because the experts had a tacit understanding to try not to fight before the border opened. They would save their strength for the big battle after the border opened. Only Lin Jun, a dark horse who came out of nowhere, had eliminated the top 10 werewolf. Now, this dark horse was out again, and he was going to challenge the #1 expert, Chen Tianpeng. Who do you think will win? I think it's still Chen Tianpeng. He's too strong. I think so too, but I think Lin Jun is really cool. He went alone. Even if he loses, he's still a hero. Yes, a martial artist should have this kind of indomitable spirit. I think even if Lin Jun loses this time, his future achievements will not be lower than Chen Tianpeng's. Let's go, let's go. If we're late, we won't be able to see the fun. The martial artists formed a long line behind Lin Jun. When Lin Jun arrived in front of the sword catacomb, there were nearly 10,000 people following behind him. Out of the original 25 million, there were only a few 100,000 left in the entire city. This time, over 10,000 came. It could be seen how much attention the cultivators paid to this matter. Among the crowd, there were even some other great god-grade martialists in the top 10 who looked at Lin Jun with complicated emotions. For example, Zhou Xinghai, who was ranked 5th, gritted his teeth. He was originally ranked 6th, and his points surpassed Lin Jun's to reach 5th. He was very proud of himself, but at the same time, he was wary that Lin Jun might challenge him. But while he was on guard, Lin Jun did not take him seriously at all. He skipped the 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and went to challenge Chen Tianpeng. Damn it, how dare you ignore me like this? If you lose, I'll definitely stomp on you. Zhou Xinghai followed the crowd and watched Lin Jun's actions. He came all the way to the entrance of the sword catacomb. The former swimming pool had changed beyond recognition. A sharp sword soared into the sky, causing people to feel a chill in their hearts. Lin Jun tidied up his clothes. Holding the yin-yang spear, he strode up the steps and entered the sword catacomb. Behind him, the martial artists entered in a single file, following in a hubbub. Clang, 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 clang. Wind blew in from outside the window. The swords hanging upside down from the ceiling clashed with each other, making a series of crisp sounds. The indoor swimming pool had completely dried up and turned into a huge pit. Inside the pit, there were two people sitting opposite each other. Lin Jun thought that Chen Tianpeng was the only one here. He did not expect to see a second person after entering. One of the martial artists was dressed in green. His entire person was like an unsheathed sword. Even though he only saw his back, he could clearly feel his powerful strength. Chen Tianpeng, the other martial artist, had a thick beard. His eyes were fierce. In front of him, there were two huge butcher's knives. They were butcher's knives. These knives looked like they were used to butcher pigs, but they were much bigger. They emitted a faint cold light that made people shudder. Wanren-tu. Chen Tianpeng was ranked 1st, and Wanren-tu was ranked 3rd. He did not expect the two of them to be together, and they seemed to be fighting. Wanren-tu's closed eyes suddenly opened. Suddenly, there was a burst of light. The two knives left the ground at the same time. He was also a powerful telekinesis master. The two butcher's knives, one on the left and one on the right, slashed at Chen Tianpeng from both sides. At this time, the onlookers had all entered the arena. They were watching from afar, but at this moment, they could not help but cover their faces with their hands to avoid being hurt by the sharp knife aura. Lin Jun's expression changed slightly. Wanren-tu's aura was so strong. Lin Jun could tell two things from this move alone. First, Wanren-tu's star power was definitely higher than werewolves when he took the medicine. Second, Wanren-tu also had a gold-level nascent soul. Facing such an attack, Lin Jun had to be careful. However, Chen Tianpeng only flicked his finger lightly. Buzz! With a clear buzz, a long sword that was stuck in the ground not far away rose from the ground and met the two steel knives head-on. Then, there was a series of firecracker-like explosions. The sound almost merged into a line. The three weapons repeatedly clashed in the air, sparks flying everywhere. Clang, 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 clang. After two clangs, Wanren-tu's two butcher's knives fell to the ground. His dark face also turned pale. Wanren-tu put away his knives and stood up. He clasped his fists at Chen Tianpeng. Brother, I'm impressed. After cultivating for so long, I couldn't even make you use a second sword. I really don't know what kind of effect you'll have if you use all 4,900 long swords. Chen Tianpeng nodded slightly. He did not even turn his head. With a stroke of his finger, the long sword returned to its original position. He continued to cultivate slowly. Wanted turned to look at Lin Jun and grinned. It was an extremely ugly smile. Finally, a worthy opponent has come. Lin Jun, who eliminated Werewolf. Brother, since I lost to you today, I'll help you chase away the flies. Leave this Lin Jun to me. What do you think? Only then did Chen Tianpeng speak slowly. Be quick. Chase these annoying fellows out. I'll give you 30 seconds to solve the problem. Is that enough? Brother, you're looking down on me. 20 seconds is enough to deal with an idiot who thinks he's in the top 3 just because he killed Werewolf. Chen Tianpeng nodded slightly. He still did not turn his head. Wanrita then waved at Lin Jun. Kid, come here. The countdown starts now. I promised you 20 seconds, and 3 seconds have already passed. Don't waste time. If you make me lose face, your ending will be very ugly. The surrounding martial artists all sucked in a breath of cold air. They all knew that the top 3 martial artists in this region were very strong, but they did not expect them to be this strong. Wanren, who was ranked 3rd, actually dared to say that he would defeat Lin Jun within 20 seconds. Moreover, he was dilly-dallying. He clearly did not take Lin Jun seriously and thought that they were not on the same level. How would Lin Jun, who came as a challenger, react? Many martial artists had already opened the Dimensional Universe record. Although the news could not be spread now, it would definitely attract attention when it was released in the future. Looking at Wanren, Lin Jun's eyes narrowed slightly. He had underestimated the top 3 martial artists. Chen Tianpeng aside, Wanren was definitely not someone to be trifled with. However, the other party had already set the rule of 20 seconds. Lin Jun could not continue standing there. He wanted to attack. Not only that, but he also wanted to retaliate fiercely. Well said. 20 seconds. We'll do as you say. However, it's not 3 seconds that have passed. It's 5 seconds. Boom! The last loud sound and Lin Jun's last words reached everyone's ears at the same time. That was because Lin Jun suddenly exploded. Moreover, his speed exceeded the speed of sound. He was like a cannonball. Within 0.1 seconds, the long spear had gathered all of Lin Jun's star power and went straight for Wanren-2's throat. Among all weapons, the spear was the strongest when it came to attacking. When a spear was shot, all of the power would be concentrated at one point. It would be able to unleash the most powerful force. Wanren did not expect Lin Jun to attack as soon as he said so. Moreover, it was so fast. This was not an ordinary speed. It was faster than normal. Lin Jun was already in front of him. His words had not even reached him yet. Little did he know that Lin Jun had already used time acceleration for this attack. Turn into lightning. Turn into light. This was the secret of speed. Even though Wanren-2's star power was above Lin Jun's, it was difficult for him to dodge at this moment. He could only put his hands together and gather an energy ball in front of his chest. He resisted Lin Jun's long spear head-on. Zap, 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 zap. Sparkling sparks of electricity hit the walls of the swimming pool. Both of their star power had reached the limit. Lin Jun's star power had now reached 7 million. He had to kill Wanren-2 in one hit. The tip of the yin-yang spear penetrated Wanren-2's energy ball inch by inch. As long as it pierced through the energy ball, Wanren-2 would be eliminated. In the blink of an eye, 5 seconds had passed. There were only 10 seconds left before the 20-second agreement between the two of them. According to the progress of Lin Jun's spear, it would definitely pierce through the energy ball completely within 10 seconds. Wanren-2's forehead was already sweating. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect Lin Jun's star power to increase so much. Moreover, the power was concentrated at one point. He could not handle it anymore. Brat, don't even think about it. Buzz buzz. Chapter 697. 2 butchers' knives came from the left and right. One human butcher was not trying to kill the enemy, but to make Lin Jun retreat. As long as he dodged the attack, he was confident that he could counterattack and win. However, Lin Jun did not move at all. The seven-star sword revolved and turned into 7 flashes of light, attacking the 2 butchers' knives repeatedly. A series of metal clashing sounds exploded in the air. One human butcher's knives could not penetrate Lin Jun's body. Lin Jun's spear was still firmly moving forward. His astral power surged, his long hair danced, and the veins on his forehead began to bulge. He was going to give it his all. He had to kill one human butcher in one hit. One human butcher saw that his butcher's knives could not do anything. At that moment, he no longer dared to say anything about killing Lin Jun in 20 seconds. It was already a blessing to be able to guarantee that Lin Jun would not be defeated in 20 seconds. Wah! Lin Jun, back off! A series of spiritual attacks came at Lin Jun. The two of them were so close to each other that Lin Jun could clearly feel the fluctuations of the other party's astral power. When he used his psychic shock, Lin Jun also used his psychic shock to counter the other party's attacks without hesitation. The colorless and formless spiritual attacks formed ripples in the air. It was like a stone falling into water. The ripples spread outward and mixed with the energy turbulence, showing the intensity of the battle. Time passed second by second. In the blink of an eye, another 7 or 8 seconds had passed. The energy ball in one human butcher's hand had been pierced into a thin layer. In another 2 or 3 seconds, he would be defeated and killed. One human butcher was filled with regret. He swore that if he had another chance, he would definitely not be careless and give his opponent such a good opportunity to attack. His spiritual attacks did not work. One human butcher used his final move. Divine Infant Projection. The Divine Infant was a double-edged sword. It was very destructive to the enemy, but it was also very easy to be injured. Once the Divine Infant was damaged, the martial artist would basically lose his combat ability. However, one human butcher could not care less. If the Divine Infant did not emerge, he would be eliminated. A figure whose body was mostly golden appeared and pounced towards Lin Jun. You're desperate, aren't you? Unfortunately, you're finished today. A golden light flashed past, and Lin Jun's nascent soul also left his body. The 2 golden divine souls met in the air. Under normal circumstances, a battle between divine souls of the same level would not end so easily. However, the outcome of the battle between these 2 divine souls was decided in almost a second. Lin Jun's figure assumed the exact same posture as Lin Jun, and the spear in his hand stabbed at the divine infant's chest. In the battle between the main body and the divine infant, 10,000 human butcher was at an absolute disadvantage. Both he and his divine infant let out desperate and unwilling roars at the same time. They had used everything they had, but they could not do anything to Lin Jun. He no longer had a chance. Just as Lin Jun was about to stab his spear into Wan Rintu's chest, he was suddenly alarmed. A great sense of danger came over him, and Lin Jun immediately recalled his divine infant. A sword energy swept past where Lin Jun's divine infant had been. This formless sword energy was not a physical attack. If Lin Jun's divine infant did not recall it, it might have been cut down by the energy. Behind 10,000 human butcher, Chun Tianpeng pointed a few times in the air. Every time he pointed, a flying sword would appear, and they whistled as they went straight for Lin Jun. How dare a junior like you behave so atrociously in front of me? It was easy to tell if an expert was a real expert. Faced with the attack of the top expert, Lin Jun hurriedly retreated. The yin-yang spear in his hand danced, and a forest of spears appeared in front of him. Immovable as a mountain, front, back, left, right up in the sky, and down on the ground were instantly covered by the overwhelming sword energy. The flying swords were like spiraling dragons, searching for Lin Jun's weakness, wanting to give him a fatal blow. On the other hand, 10,000 human butcher took 2 steps back and sat on the ground. Large drops of sweat were already rolling down his forehead. In that instant, he felt like he had just returned from the gates of hell. If Chen Tianpeng had not made a move, he would have definitely been eliminated by Lin Jun. Now that he saw Lin Jun being suppressed by Chun Tianpeng's storm-like sword rain, 10,000 human butcher's face turned red. He felt like he had embarrassed himself in front of so many martial artists. If he could not regain his dignity, others would say that he did not live up to his title as the top 3 in the war zone. With a roar, 2 butcher knives appeared in his hands. He charged at Lin Jun like a ferocious tiger. Lin Jun, you ambushed me just now. Now, I'll let you have a taste of my power. Lin Jun was already having a hard time blocking the attacks of Chun Tianpeng's flying swords. With 10,000 human butchers addition, he knew that he would not be able to gain anything from today's incident. First of all, he did not expect there to be 2 opponents. Secondly, he did not expect Chun Tianpeng to be so strong. Although he still had some tricks up his sleeve, it was obvious that Chun Tianpeng had not used his full strength. Where there's life, there's hope. He had to retreat. After knocking away a few of Chun Tianpeng's flying swords, Lin Jun swallowed a divine power pill. Mountain quaking spear technique. His 7 million star power increased by 40% again. In an instant, it soared to 9,800,000. With one attack, it hit 10,000 human butcher who was charging at him. 10,000 human butcher's huge body was sent flying by Lin Jun's spear. His entire body crashed into the wall of the swimming pool, creating a huge hole in the wall. What a pity! I still can't kill this old man. Lin Jun's long spear danced. Taking advantage of the increase in star power, he knocked away Chun Tianpeng's flying swords again. Then, he quickly retreated. Chun Tianpeng did not expect Lin Jun's strength to increase again. More than a dozen flying swords could not stop Lin Jun. Lin Jun forcefully opened up a bloody path and escaped through the door. Chun Tianpeng did not chase after him. Instead, he pressed his hands down slowly, and the spinning flying swords returned to their original positions. Lin Jun, this is just a lesson for you. If you dare to act recklessly again, I'll kill you. The onlookers did not even dare to breathe loudly. At this time, they also realized that Chun Tianpeng was actually a martial artist without legs. The part close to the knee had been neatly chopped off. Losing limbs was not a big deal for martial artists. Many limb regeneration potions could recover them. However, they did not know why Chun Tianpeng did not recover his legs. Even so, no one dared to act rashly in front of him. The 4,900 flying swords here constantly reminded them of how terrifying this disabled person without legs was. People began to quickly leave the swimming pool. After everyone left, Wanrinda crawled into the big hole with a face full of shame. Brother, I've embarrassed you. It doesn't matter. You've learned from your mistakes. You lost at the beginning because you were careless. Lin Jun only managed to defeat you at the last moment by relying on the power of medicine. He won't have such an opportunity next time. Yes, I understand. I'll cultivate diligently in the future. Don't focus on the present. The opening of the borders is our stage. Lin Jun will just be a nobody by then. You'll have a chance to defeat him. Understand, brother. Let me carry you for a walk. That's good too. Let me stretch my muscles. Chun Tianpeng slapped the ground with his hands and jumped onto Wanrintu's back. They walked slowly in the swimming pool. Today's defeat will be healed with future victories. Take my legs, for example. If I don't defeat that person, I'd rather never recover. Wanrintu was also speechless. He did not expect Chun Tianpeng, who was like a god at his heart, to be defeated by anyone. Lin Jun broke through the wall of the swimming pool and rushed out. When he was outside, his body staggered. Just now, he was holding his breath to block Chun Tianpeng and Wanrintu's attacks. Lin Jun almost suffered internal injuries, especially Chun Tianpeng's flying sword, which was everywhere. If it were not for the God Power Pill, Lin Jun might have been eliminated. That was close. I was too careless. I underestimated the strength of the number 1 in the war zone. But at least I didn't lose too badly. I should go back and cultivate before starting again. Just as Lin Jun was about to return to the convenience store, someone suddenly blocked his way. Lin Jun, you want to leave just like that after losing to the people inside? Lin Jun looked at the person and knew that it was Zhou Xinghai, the number 5 in the war zone. Lin Jun did not expect him to suddenly block him, but his motive was obvious. Firstly, he wanted to take advantage of Lin Jun and beat him while he was down. Secondly, He was number 6 in the war zone, and Zhou Xinghai was number 5. If he was eliminated, Zhou Xinghai would become number 4. His points were even close to Wan Rintu's, and he had a chance to become number 3 in the war zone. However, Lin Jun never liked people like this. At this moment, he was at the peak of his star power transfer and the god power pill. Even if Chun Tianpeng came out, he was confident that he could escape. He came at the right time. Lin Jun had a place to vent his anger. "What are you doing?" "Hee. You already know the answer." "Lin Jun, your days of arrogance are over." Seeing that Lin Jun had been defeated, Zhou Xinghai did not take Lin Jun seriously. He drew his sword and was about to attack. Boom! Lin Jun used the move he used against Wan Rintu on Zhou Xinghai. Wherever the spear pointed, it was invincible. Zhou Xinghai only had time to swing his sword once, but he could not block Lin Jun's spear at all. The spear pierced through his chest. You're only number 6. This can't. Impossible." A green light appeared and healed his dying body. It wrapped him up and brought him away from Star of Divine Punishment. The martial artist ranked number 5 was stabbed to death by the person ranked number 6. He did not even have the chance to fight back. After getting rid of Zhou Xinghai, Lin Jun's points had reached more than 90,000. He had returned from number 6 to number 4, and this time, it would be difficult for anyone to shake him. Even the gap between him and Wan Rintu was not that big anymore. Lin Jun did not take this matter to heart. Taking advantage of the fact that the effects of the God Power Pill had not disappeared, he immediately left the swimming pool. There were still 31 days until the border opened. Lin Jun could not let anything happen to him before then. He had to find a safe place. Looking back at the swimming pool, Lin Jun silently turned around and sped away. Chapter 698. In the 68th battle zone of the Eastern Continent, the video of Lin Jun challenging Chun Tianpeng and One Human Butcher was very popular in the dimensional universe. Although Lin Jun lost in the end, no one dared to look down on the 4th place. Most people even believe that if it wasn't for Chun Tianpeng's intervention at the last moment, Lin Jun might have been the 2nd place in the 68th battle zone. However, people also believe that after this, Lin Jun wouldn't dare to casually challenge anyone again. There was still a month before the border opened. Before that, Lin Jun wouldn't have a chance. This was a bit regretful. Being in 4th place meant that he couldn't obtain the Divine Transformation aura in advance. After the border opened, there would definitely be a fierce battle. No one could guarantee that they would be able to last until the end. You might be first in the entire Star of God's Punishment, but you might be overthrown by others at any time. Therefore, obtaining the Divine Transformation aura in advance was the biggest goal of every expert. Only with the Divine Transformation aura could they fight for the opportunity to temper their divine body without any scruples. After this video was released, although the Emperor of Southern Liang Jihuan, was shocked by Lin Jun's valiant fighting strength, he also let out a long sigh of relief at the same time. This was because if Lin Jun got into the top 3 now, it would mean that he had secured a spot in the top 100,000. Then, he would have lost the bet with Ning Qingxian. If Lin Jun got into the top 5 million, all the teleportation arrays in Southern Liang would be free. If he got into the top 1 million, the Imperial Medicine Warehouse would be open to Lin Jun. If he got into the top 100,000, the Imperial Medicine Warehouse would sell Lin Jun at half price. When he thought about how Lin Jun was the great elder of the Alchemist Guild, if the Imperial Medicine Warehouse sold him at half price, that kid would probably empty the Imperial Medicine Warehouse sooner or later. Thinking of this, Liang Jihuan couldn't help but feel a little heartache. He was always worried that Lin Jun would get into the top 3. Then it would be over. Fortunately, Lin Jun failed this time. Liang Jihuan really hoped that this kid would not be able to recover from this setback. It would be best if he was eliminated quickly. Now, he was paying attention to Lin Jun's situation all day long. He was paying attention to the difference in points between Lin Jun and Wan Rintu's day. He was probably paying more attention than Ning Qingxian. Although Lin Jun had not entered the top 3, he had returned to 4th place. The gap between him and 10,000 Human Butcher was very small. He was constantly worried that if Lin Jun killed more ordinary martial artists, his points might surpass 10,000 human butchers and take third place. However, as the days passed, Lin Zhen's points once again stagnated at fourth place. Although it seemed that fifth and sixth would not be able to catch up to him for the time being, catching up to 10,000 human butcher was still very difficult. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 days had passed. Seeing that there were only 3 days left before the border would open, Liang Jihuan suddenly thought of a possibility. The person in fifth place. If Lin Zhen killed the person in fifth place at the last moment, his points would definitely surpass 10,000 human butchers and jump to third place. This realization immediately made Liang Jihuan as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. He believed that Lin Zhen was definitely thinking of this. 10,000 human butcher. Oh, 10,000 human butcher. If you have any brains, even if you can't find Lin Zhen, you should kill the person in fifth place. That way, your third place will be stable. He really wanted to run to Star of Divine Punishment and inform him personally, but he did not know where it was. Another 2 days passed. There were less than 24 hours left before the Star of Divine Punishment ended. Various small battle zones began to have exciting and colorful shows. Some people's hidden methods were used at the last moment. The rankings in front of them changed like a revolving lantern. Many warriors at the top of the rankings were defeated. They led for 5 months and lost their positions on the last day. This kind of tragedy was repeated over and over again. There were very few people who could completely maintain their positions in front of them. Those who used to be high above, the top 3 warriors, were even chased by tens of thousands of people. They could only flee in panic and hope that they could drag out the last day. In the 68th battle zone, when there were still 10 hours left before the end, the person in fifth place was eliminated by 10,000 human butcher. This allowed his points to immediately lead Lin Zhen by a large margin, and he even became the second in the battle zone. The situation in the 68th battle zone was like this. Shen Tianpeng, points 259,787, ranked first. 10,000 human butcher, points 180980, ranked second. Luo Fei, points 177723, ranked third. Lin Zhen, points 98210, ranked fourth. Li Jianhua, points 72098, ranked fifth. The gap between the third and fourth place widened to almost 100,000 points. In the last few hours, it was impossible to catch up. Even if Lin Zhen killed the fifth and sixth place consecutively, he would not be able to catch up. When he saw this number change, Liang Jihuan fiercely waved his fist. Yeah, 10,000 human butcher. Well done. This is really a ruthless killing. That Lin Zhen must also be thinking about killing the last few people at the last moment and overtaking you. Now that you have eliminated the original fifth place, you directly cut off Lin Zhen's chance. This time, Lin Zhen has no chance to be in the top 3. Liang Jihuan was very happy. As long as he could drag it out until the border opened, he would have a way to deal with Lin Zhen. He had already contacted the warriors of the Cannon clan. He was afraid that Lin Zhen would be in the top 3 in the small battle zone. At this time, he really wanted to show off in front of Ning Qingxian and see if Ning Qingxian would be disappointed. After thinking for a while, he still could not resist the temptation. He ordered Shi Xiaomao, "Go, invite the Empress here. Tell her that I want to treat her to a meal." Shi Xiaomao was stunned. "Your Majesty, will the Empress come? Go ahead and invite her. I know her very well. She definitely doesn't want to bow down in front of me at this moment. She will definitely hold on until the end. This is a good opportunity to let her calm down. The Empress should also change her mind." Shi Xiaomao immediately bowed and agreed. He went to invite Ning Qingxian. In fact, this time, Liang Jihuan guessed correctly. Ning Qingxian indeed agreed to Liang Jihuan's request for a meal and came to the Emperor's Yangxin Palace Hall. Ning Qingxian knew very well that this meal would definitely last until the border was opened. Liang Jihuan wanted to use this opportunity to attack her relationship with Lin Zhen. Ning Qingxian did not dare to guarantee that Lin Zhen would not create a miracle at the last moment. However, she came here to let Liang Jihuan know that even if she was here, her heart was still with Lin Zhen. He had better stop his wishful thinking. Lin Jun did not return to the convenience store. This time, he chose the tall tower in the city. In order to kill undead creatures, very few warriors returned to the tall buildings. Although there were threats from the undead creatures in the sky, with the passage of time, there were fewer and fewer undead creatures here. It was the safest place. In this month, Lin Jun could not continue using astral power transference. Therefore, he simply stayed here and focused on cultivating. The timing was also very coincidental. 30 days had passed, and Lin Jun's astral power transference stagnant period had also passed. For the past month, Lin Jun had been cultivating diligently every day, neutralizing pill toxins and refining elixirs. Today, he could already break through from the Grade 8 Region Monarch. Not only could he break through to the Grade 8 Region Monarch, but Lin Jun's Dark Star space had also been greatly nourished. Breaking through to the Grade 9 Region Monarch is a matter of course. Furthermore, I still have quite a number of star crystals here. I can directly reach the peak of the Grade 9 Region Monarch. It's just that I don't know if I can light up the 4th star of 7 kills today. The space with the star crystal tree hasn't completely fused with the Dark Star yet. This is a hidden danger. However, if I can succeed, then I'll have more competition. At this moment, Lin Jun saw Wan Rintu's ranking jump and surpass Luo Fei to become the 2nd place of the battle zone. The person who was originally in 5th place had been eliminated. Without a doubt, Wan Rintu had been eliminated. He is indeed scheming. He actually knew to eliminate potential threats at this time. He definitely won't give me a chance to enter the top 3. How ruthless and decisive. Lin Jun had indeed thought of this idea. He wanted to kill the people at the bottom and fight for a chance to enter the top 3. However, he did not act too early. Once he entered the top 3, he would definitely be hunted down by Chun Tianpeng and Wan Rin. Tuesday Lin Jun did not have the confidence to deal with the two of them. He wanted to make a move at the last moment, but he did not expect Wan Rin to cut off his path ahead of time. Good. You guys forced me to do this. There are still 5 to 6 hours before the border opens. We will meet again very soon. Lin Jun did not want to think about this anymore. He closed his eyes and swallowed a large amount of elemental gathering powder. When a medicinal effect entered his energy center, it immediately turned into astral power and attacked the inner walls of Lin Jun's energy center. Lin Jun had experienced this process many times and was already familiar with it. In less than half an hour, the medicinal effect of these elixirs was completely digested. Lin Jun finally broke through the barrier between level 8 and level 9 and became a level 9 domain monarch. Advancing from level 8 to level 9 gave Lin Jun an additional 300,000 points of astral power. Of course, in the Star of Divine Punishment, that was 3,000 points of astral power. This allowed his astral power to reach 43,000 points. This was not the end. Lin Jun did not stop cultivating. Although he had just consumed the elixirs, he still had astral crystals. His mental power entered the Dark Star space and directly collected the domain monarch astral crystals. Astral crystals did not have any side effects and could be directly absorbed. Rays of starlight entered Lin Jun's body through every pore, causing his astral power to increase once again. From the early stage of level 9 domain monarch all the way to the late stage and then the peak stage. Soon, Lin Jun had 1 foot in the World King realm. His astral power increased by another 200,000 points, causing his astral power to reach 45,000 points, which was equivalent to 5 million points in the outside world. Although his astral power had increased by a lot, Lin Jun still felt that it was not enough. At this moment, he simply swallowed some internal world nourishing elixirs again. Since he had broken through, Lin Jun also wanted to try and see if he could light up the Star of 7 kills today. As the energy of the nourishing elixirs was injected, the Dark Star space rumbled. Chapter 699. This time, the Dark Star breakthrough was different from other times. The Dark Star space was originally on the verge of a breakthrough, but there was a trace of disharmony that caused Lin Jun to not have full confidence. That was the small space that came from the turbulent space. This small space had not completely landed on the dark star, but was floating incongruously. The small tree that gave birth to the space wanderer flower was still shining brightly, and the turbulent space had formed a protective layer around it. And now, at the moment when the breakthrough was about to happen, this trace of disharmony had become a fatal factor. Lin Jun could even feel that the power of this small space was fighting against the star power of the dark star space. In the sky, a corner of the veil of the seven-kill star had been lifted, but now it was showing signs of shrinking. No, if this continues, the dark star breakthrough will fail. I can't let that happen. Lin Jun wanted to give up on this small space, but he could not bear to part with the star crystals on the tree. The only way now is to let this small space fuse with my dark star. Lin Jun's mind moved, and his mental power shrouded the small space, wanting to force it to land on the dark star. Lin Jun's original location was the basin under the small space, but the small space was repelling him, and Lin Jun found it difficult to suppress it. Seeing that the seven-kill star in the sky was about to be extinguished, Lin Jun did not think much and directly chose the highest place on the planet. The highest place on the planet was the starfruit tree, and the only place suitable for the small space to land on the starfruit tree was the tree heart lake. Lin Jun also had a flash of inspiration when he thought of this place. This small tree and the starfruit tree both nurtured star crystals. Their attributes should be similar. Perhaps they could fuse. With a thought, the small space arrived on the tree heart lake. He pressed down with his mental power, and this time there was no repelling force. Voila! Gurgle! Water splashed, and the small space slowly descended. The energy turbulence gradually dissipated in the lake water, spreading between the heavens and the earth. The small hill sank into the lake, forming an island in the center of the lake. The small tree swayed in the wind, and it actually fit perfectly. Not only that, but after the small space fused with the dark star, Lin Jun's dark star space seemed to have been greatly stimulated. It rumbled and expanded outwards, and the seven-kill star began to shine once more. This star power is so powerful. The entire starfruit tree seemed to have been reborn. After fusing with the visitors from another world, the tree seemed to have grown a little. Surging star power swept through the entire dark star space like a storm. Before, Lin Jun thought that if he lit up the seven-kill star, he would only be able to increase his star power by 100,000 to 200,000 star power. But this time, when the seven-kill star was lit up, 300,000 star power seemed to be just the beginning. Lin Jun didn't know to what extent the star energy would increase to, so he took out the Phantom Light Sword. Such a scene of a storm was just right for him to comprehend the Taiyuan sword technique. The Taiyuan sword technique had a total of 7 forms: Heaven Beginning, Heaven Flower, Tai Shi, Taiyuan, Life Terminator, and God's Grave. Each form was stronger than the one before. If he learned the 5th form, Taiyuan, its power would be comparable to Meteor Fall. Compared to Meteor Fall, the Taiyuan sword technique didn't require a large amount of star power. Meteor Fall could even attack an immortal realm warrior. Its power was between Taiyuan and Life Terminator. If Lin Jun learned the Life Terminator sword technique, he could easily kill an immortal realm warrior. With Taiyuan, he could easily kill a world king. Therefore, the Taiyuan sword technique was more practical than the 5 forms of Meteor Fall. However, Lin Jun had only comprehended Taiyuan. Although Taiyuan was good, it wasn't enough to deal with a world king. Lin Jun wanted to use this opportunity to master the Taiyuan sword technique in one go. If he succeeded, his strength would almost double. The devouring black hole was Lin Jun's trump card. He didn't want to expose it unless necessary. He also had the destructive thunder. It would take a long time for him to recover. He planned to use these 2 abilities at the most crucial moment after the border was opened. Taiyuan was Lin Jun's strongest killer move in his normal state. The power of the stars surged, and the swords in the air began to ring. Lin Jun began his most important enlightenment. In the southern Liang Palace, Liang Jihuan and Ning Qingxian, a married couple, sat together and watched the situation on the big screen. Liang Chen didn't disappoint them. His performance in the Star of God punishment wasn't bad. He ranked around 10,000 in their small battle zone. However, they weren't paying attention to their son. Instead, they were paying attention to Lin Jun. Xin'er, I advise you not to have any illusions. It's less than an hour before the border is opened. The final moment of slaughter has passed. All the small battle zones have calmed down. There won't be any changes. Ning Qingxian ignored Liang Jihuan. Her beautiful eyes were fixed on Lin Jun's name. She didn't want to miss any change in Lin Jun's ranking. She had a strong premonition that Lin Jun wasn't the kind of person who was willing to be ordinary. He would definitely appear again. In the Star of Divine Punishment, most of the small battle zones had calmed down. The top 3 experts didn't chase after others. They even took the initiative to group up to protect themselves. The other warriors also knew that there was no hope. They simply gave up on this futile action and quietly waited for the border to open. Some powerful warriors had already turned their attention to the area after the border was opened. Qin Jianfeng of the Great Qin Empire stood on the TV tower with a long sword in his hand. He glanced over the entire city. He felt that this small battle zone wasn't challenging at all. Boston of the southern continent was wearing a spiritual treasure armor. He held a golden trident and stepped on the waves. His goal was to refine his divine body. Jun Mo of the Phoenix clan gently rubbed the sword in his hand. In his heart, there was a picturesque landscape and a jade-like beauty. However, the beauty's heart belonged to someone else. He would kill all the enemies who stood in his way. Warriors of the secret sect, the powerhouses of the various galactic beasts, as well as countless unknown powerhouses, were all waiting for the border to open. In their eyes, there was no one in the small battle zone that was worthy of their attention. The situation in the 68th battle zone of the eastern continent was basically the same. In the sword tomb, 3 people were sitting on the ground. Chen Tianpeng was in the middle. Wan Ritu was on the right. On the left was a red-haired young man. He was Luo Fei, who had confronted the werewolves. With one sword, he had forced the werewolves and their group to stay put. A gust of wind blew over. The long swords in the sword tomb made clanging sounds like percussion music. Time is passing so slowly. Why does this half an hour feel so unbearable? Wanrita finally couldn't sit still after a while. He stood up and paced back and forth. Luo Fei looked at Wan Rintu with disdain. If it weren't for Chun Tianping's protection, this guy would have been eliminated by Lin Jun. It was ridiculous that he was still ranked above Luo Fei. Brother Wan, can you sit quietly for a while? Half an hour will pass quickly. You've waited for 5 months. What's a little more time? You're making me dizzy. No, I can't sit still anymore. I don't know why, but I feel a little uncomfortable today. I can't calm down at all. Chen Tianpeng spoke at this time. Ever since you lost to Lin Jun, you haven't been able to get rid of your inner demons. If you can't get back at Lin Jun, I'm afraid you won't be able to calm down and cultivate. Yes. That's what I meant. That Lin Jun caught me off guard last time. If I didn't have the strength to fight back, it would be fine. But I just can't accept it. If I don't defeat him once, I'll feel uncomfortable. Luo Fei crossed his legs and said, "Forget it. There's no time now. You can't find Lin Jun. Unless he comes looking for you, there's no chance." Wanrita sat in front of the window dejectedly. He looked at the road leading to Kanglan Street and let out a long sigh. Then there's no chance. Lin Jun is really hiding this time. He won't appear again. He looked at the end of Kanglan Street. At this moment, Wanrita really hoped that Lin Jun would appear. Perhaps his prayer moved the heavens. At the end of Kanglan Street, a figure seemed to appear. In the dark star space, the surging star power finally slowed down. Previously, there was a huge gap between Lin Jun's dark star power and his own body's power. His body star power was almost 10 times stronger than the dark star space, making the dark star power more and more useless. But this time, the dark star space became important again. Originally, Lin Jun's dark star space could only provide him with 300,000 star power. But after fusing with the alternate space, Lin Jun's dark star power skyrocketed. The overflowing space turbulence turned into streaks of star power. The small tree scattered star power to its heart's content, increasing the dark star's star power greatly. The starfruit tree was attracted by the small tree. Those bright star crystals began to light up one by one, showing signs of evolution. His star power began to increase. With all these factors added together, Lin Zhan's dark star space finally underwent a qualitative change. The star of 7 kills lit up, giving Lin Zhan 300,000 star power, increasing his star power to 600,000. The space turbulence evolved into star power, giving him 300,000 star power. The successful landing on Tree Heart Island was the main reason. It directly increased Lin Zhan's star power by 1,500,000 star power. Although the starfruit tree's mutation didn't increase his star power by that much, only 400,000 star power, it had unlimited possibilities in the future. With all the star power gathered, Lin Zhan's dark star space reached 2,500,000 star power. Together with the 4,500,000 star power in his body, Lin Zhan's current star power was 7 million star power. When all the star power calmed down, Lin Zhan slowly reached out and grabbed the mirage sword in front of him. Chapter 700. After his star power reached 7 million, Lin Zhan finally understood what it meant to be strong. Perhaps this star power was still a bit off from a top world king, but Lin Zhan had nothing to fear. With the Taiyuan sword technique, he had the power to fight against the strong on the star of divine punishment. After leaving his hiding place, Lin Zhan looked at the time in the dimensional universe. There were less than 20 minutes until the border opened. I should be able to make it in time, as long as Chen Tianpeng and Wan Rinto are still there. He summoned Light Fiend and sped up, heading straight for the swimming pool. Look, Lin Zhan is here again. No way, the border is about to open. There's going to be a big show. Let's go, it's Lin Zhan's second time here. It's going to be fun. The martial artists who had stopped fighting and were resting in various places immediately rushed out, as if they had been injected with chicken blood, and rushed to the swimming pool again. This is so boring. Wan Rinto sat by the window and looked outside. He suddenly rubbed his eyes. No way. So many people? Are they undead creatures? Luo Fei also looked out the window. What nonsense are you talking about? There aren't many undead creatures left. Are you seeing things? No. That's a human. Wan Rinto suddenly jumped up, and 2 butcher knives appeared in his hands. It's Lin Zhan. Brother, Lin Zhan is back. Chen Tianpeng opened his eyes. We'll deal with whatever comes our way. What's the rush? His calmness calmed Wan Rinto down, and he waited for Lin Zhan's arrival. Lin Zhan was so fast that the people behind him couldn't keep up with him. He stepped on a shield and came to the door of the sword catacomb again. This time, Lin Zhan didn't go in. Instead, he stood in front of the door, gathered his Dantian energy in his chest, and shouted at the sword catacomb. Chen Tianpeng, Wan Rinto, come out and die. His voice echoed in the surrounding buildings. Many undead creatures appeared from the shadows and rushed over. Lin Zhan's voice was too loud. Usually, when everyone was in the city, no matter if they were fighting or doing something, they wouldn't attract the undead creatures. But this time, the entire city was quiet. Everyone was waiting for the border to open. Therefore, Lin Zhan's voice was particularly loud, attracting the nearby undead creatures. Zombie dragons were flapping their wings in the sky, and some of them were even completely green. Those were dragon kings. A large group of bats also appeared, and there were even vampires at the level of a prince among them. On the ground, a large group of death knights charged towards them. Among them, there were more than a dozen Terror Knights. Skeleton King, Spirit King. Normally, these undead that couldn't be found had all appeared, which made people a little flustered. Lin Zhan didn't care at all. There were still 3 minutes before the border opened. He was confident that he could solve the problem before then. Such a loud voice didn't attract the people in the sword catacomb. Wan Rinto wanted to go out, but Luo Fei stopped him. Don't be in such a hurry. The border will open in 3 minutes. Think about the soul formation aura that we need. Don't cause trouble before then. Wan Rinto calmed down immediately. This was related to whether he could live forever. He couldn't be careless. He put down his butcher's knife and decided not to go out. If Lin Zhan dared to force his way in, 10,000 people would join hands and kill him. Seeing that the other party didn't appear, Lin Zhan snorted coldly. He jumped forward and raised one hand. Since you don't want to come out, then have a taste of this. A dark green flame appeared in his palm and smashed towards the sword catacomb. Huff, huff. Lin Jun assisted with some wind elements. The fire borrowed the wind's power and quickly wrapped the sword catacomb into a sea of fire. No life could survive in this dark green flame. Even King Kai was no exception. As soon as the fire came, 3 figures jumped out. Countless long swords moved and broke open a path in the sea of fire. 3 people came out. Lin Jun, you really want to do this the hard way? Wan Rintu's face was ashen. He couldn't bear it anymore. I just can't stand your cowardly behavior. You want to wait until the time is up to deal with me? Then let me ask you cowards today. I, Lin Jun, challenge you right here. Do you dare to accept? His voice was loud and clear. Shen Tianping's face changed this time. If they didn't accept Lin Jun's challenge, they would definitely be traumatized in the future. They were all 9th level world kings. If they really formed a heart demon, they might not be able to live forever, even with the soul formation aura. Thus, they had to accept it, even if they didn't want to. Shen Tianping grinned. Since you're challenging the 3 of us, then we won't talk about morality with you. Come, let us see how strong the little kid from the 68th district is. He dares to challenge the top 3 at the same time. All right, I can't wait any longer. Then I'll have to see for myself. Shen Tianping said this deliberately. Although it was a bit shameless for the 3 of them to attack together. As long as they won, there wouldn't be any heart demons. But before he could finish his sentence, Lin Jun pounced on him. He really wanted to fight the 3 of them alone. There wasn't much time left. Lin Jun didn't waste any more words. Although there were 3 of them, he had to get a spot in the top 3. The person closest to him was Luo Fei. Luo Fei wasn't present when he fought with Lin Jun last time. Although he was close, Lin Jun didn't choose to attack him. Instead, he went around him and pounced on Wan Rintu. Lin Jun, get out of my way. This time, Wan Rintu swallowed a pill. His astral force rose to over 8 million stars. He waved his butcher's knife to meet the attack. Lin Jun stretched out a hand. His fingers flicked so fast that they couldn't be seen. A string of finger-flicking sword cheese shot out like a storm, but they did not slow down one human butcher. Feeling Luo Fei closing in behind him, Lin Jun opened his storm wings, which he hadn't used in a long time. His body was propelled forward, and he went straight for Wan Rintu. He held the phantom light sword in his hand. The dazzling light on it was blinding. Astral force had already gathered on it. No matter who it was, regardless of their level, they could tell that Lin Jun's attack wasn't going to be easy to block. Shen Tianping also made his move. He slapped the ground with both hands. Dozens of flying swords rose into the air and lined up in a row. They slashed, stabbed, sliced, cut, swept, and so on. They attacked Lin Jun from all kinds of angles. Lin Jun waved his long sword to block, knocking away Shen Tianping's flying swords in the air. He now had 7 million astral force. With such a large number of swords, the power would be scattered. It would be difficult for them to threaten him. But Shen Tianping wanted to use this method to slow down Lin Jun. Just slowing him down would be enough. Lin Jun, die. There was a roar above his head. Wan Rintu's pair of butcher's knives were already in front of him. There was also a sharp whistling sound behind him. That was Luo Fei's sword, which had also reached Lin Jun's back. At this time, Shen Tianping also increased his strength. Under his control, hundreds of flying swords began to attack from all directions. He definitely wouldn't give Lin Jun a chance to escape. The 3 powerhouses of the 68th district all used their strongest moves at the same time. They were determined to kill Lin Jun in one fell swoop. The surrounding martial artists had even forgotten that there was a large group of undead creatures attacking at this moment. Everyone's eyes were focused on the center of the battlefield. It seemed that Lin Jun was going to be finished. There was no way he could resist the 3 powerhouses working together. But this scene seemed a little strange, because when powerhouses fought, victory and defeat would be decided in a flash. But why did this scene seem a little slow? That was because time deceleration. At this moment, Lin Jun activated the time deceleration field. He could clearly see his image in Wan Rintu's eyes. He could see the patterns on Chun Tianpeng's flying swords. He could even clearly see that Luo Fei was still a few steps behind him and was beside him. This time was very, very short, but Lin Jun needed this moment to make the best choice. There was only a pause of 1,000th of a second, and then everything returned to normal. Lin Jun's body stood slightly to the side. This position was just enough to avoid Chun Tianpeng's river of swords, making his attack useless. Then, Lin Jun raised his sword with both hands. It seemed like he was going to give Wan Rintu a hard blow. If this sword slashed down, the two of them would die together. Wan Rintu was also very nervous. He didn't expect Lin Jun to hate him so much. He didn't care about the other's attacks and wanted to die together with him. He didn't want to die, especially now that it was the last moment. He didn't want to fight to the death with this crazy Lin Jun. A trace of instinctive reaction in his heart was reflected in his actions. His pair of butcher's knives changed from attack to defense. As long as he could delay this move, he could still obtain soul formation chi. And what Lin Jun needed was this moment. Gotcha! There was a loud noise in the sky. Lin Jun turned around and attacked Luo Fei with his sword. Taiyuan sword technique. A long spatial crack appeared out of nowhere. It was 100 meters long and less than half a meter wide. It was right in front of Lin Jun. Luo Fei's body was like a painting that was torn from the middle. Taiyuan's sword appeared, and the World King was destroyed. With Lin Jun's current 7 million star force, there was no World King that could withstand this sword strike. In Lin Jun's heart, Chun Tianpeng and Wan Rintu were enemies. It didn't matter how they fought. But Luo Fei was an accomplice. Lin Jun had no enmity with him. Since Lin Jun attacked him like this, he shouldn't blame Lin Jun for being merciless. Using Taiyuan without hesitation, Lin Jun quickly turned around and blocked one human butcher's attack that was close at hand. Using the momentum, he quickly retreated and dodged Chun Tianpeng's sword light that came attacking again. On the other side, Luo Fei was still in the same posture as when he attacked. His thoughts and soul were still stuck on Lin Jun's stunning attack. What a fast sword! He staggered forward 2 steps. A red line appeared on his body. It looked like it was going to split open. Once it did, Luo Fei would die. At this time, the life-saving green light flashed again and healed his injuries. It wrapped Luo Fei up and left the star of divine punishment. Chapter 702. After Lin Jun killed Luo Fei with one sword, his points shot up by a huge chunk. He was originally in 4th place. Even if his points did not increase, he would be in the top 3 now. However, Lin Jun did not stop there. In a flash, he pounced on Wan Rintu. Lin Jun, are you crazy? It's almost time. Can't we advance together? Hee. The opening of the border is not the end. There's still the ranking. Do you think I won't take the points when I see them? Clang! With one strike, Wan Rintu staggered backward. With Lin Jun using the Taiyuan sword technique, even if he had taken a pill, he would not be able to withstand it. Lin Jun, after the border opens, it'll be embarrassing if there are fewer and fewer experts in our district. Wan Rintu roared, but Lin Jun ignored him. He waved his hand and attacked again. Lin Jun stopped. Chun Tianpeng attacked again. More than 10 long swords swirled and formed a dragon to meet Lin Jun's attack head-on. The 2 sword lights clashed in the air. Chun Tianpeng's long sword was sent flying everywhere, but Wan Rintu managed to stay alive. There was a faint wound on his chest. If Chun Tianpeng had not saved him, he would have been dead by now. When Lin Jun was about to attack again, Chun Tianpeng had already pulled Wan Rintu into the air and retreated. Lin Jun, it's not that I'm afraid of you. It's that the border is about to open. There's no need for us to fight to the death. It's enough that you're in 3rd place. There were less than 5 seconds left before the border opened. Lin Jun finally sheathed his sword. There was not enough time to continue chasing after Chun Tianpeng and Luo Fei. Since he was in the top 3, there was no need to kill them all. In the southern Liang Palace, Liang Jihuan crushed the wine glass in his hand. He had failed. It was all over. He had never dreamed that Lin Jun would kill Luo Fei. who was in second place, at the last moment and enter the top 3. As long as he did not die, no one would be able to catch up with him. Being in the top 3 at this time meant that he had entered the top 100,000. The entire nation's teleportation arrays were free of charge, and the medicinal herb storehouses were open to Lin Jun to purchase at half price. However, this wasn't what made his heart bleed the most. What made him feel the most uncomfortable was the proud smile on Ning Qingshuan's face. His beloved was cheering for someone else. This made the emperor's heart burn with rage. Little Xian, don't think that you've won. With Ning Qingshuan's personality and appearance, if you could only choose a man who ranked in the top 100,000 in the Star of God's Punishment, I would have to say that your taste is really bad. The Star of Divine Punishment is not over yet, Ning Qingshuan said calmly. Good. Let's see who will have the last laugh. It's nothing more than some herbs and money. We don't care about it at all, but we don't feel good about giving it to Lin Jun. Since you like that brat, I won't let him have an easy time. With a flick of his sleeves, Liang Jihuan got up and left. Since he had said that, he did not want to let Lin Jun have an easy time. Lin Jun, come over here. Immediately contact the warriors of the Cannon clan and prepare to kill Lin Jun. Also, gather all information regarding Lin Jun for me, just in case. If we really can't stop him, we will ruin his reputation. Sure, Xiao Mao immediately agreed. As he began contacting Lin Jun, he also began gathering information on him. There were few warriors who were clean. Sure, Xiao Mao believed that Lin Jun was no exception. Soon, all sorts of information regarding Lin Jun was sent to Liang Jihuan. When Liang Jihuan saw the warrant for Lin Jun, he was overjoyed. He never expected there to be such a thing. Who knew? It might be of great use one day. Above the Star of Divine Punishment, a white beam of light swept across the entire planet. Everyone's body was enveloped by the white beam of light. All the pain and exhaustion from before vanished at that moment. A voice resounded in the ears of everyone who was still alive. The borders are open. From now on, there will be a teleportation array in every city center. Users can use the teleportation array to head to other war zones or other continents. Teleporting to other war zones will cost 1/10 of the points. Teleporting to other continents will cost half of the points. Killing members of your own war zone will not give you any points. Killing members of other war zones will give you half of their points. Killing members of other continents will give you all of their points. Set off, brave warriors. Glory and rewards await you. When the news sounded, Lin Jun and Chun Tianpeng, who were at loggerheads with each other, were immediately stunned. Killing members of their own war zone would not give them any points. And at this moment, a light flashed in front of their chests. Everyone's badges had an additional pattern on them. East 68. East was the Eastern continent. 68 was the name of the war zone. Furthermore, Lin Jun and company had an additional red flag on them. This flag was called the Hero's Flag. It represented the top 10 of their own war zone. Every time a Hero's Flag holder was killed and eliminated, the entire dimensional universe would automatically broadcast it. This was also a kind of glory and also a way to become famous. For continents, for 100 war zones. Each war zone had 10 people, so there were a total of 4,000 Hero's Flag holders. Moreover, after a Hero's Flag holder was eliminated, there would not be a replacement to obtain a flag. One killed would be one less flag holder. After eliminating a Hero's Flag holder, if the killer already had a flag, then his flag would receive an additional star. If the victim already had 2 stars, then the killer's flag would also receive 2 stars. Flags with 7 stars could be upgraded. Now that everyone was at level 1, the highest level they could upgrade was level 10 and 10 stars. These flags were not given for free. When the Star of God's Punishment ended, these flags could be exchanged for rewards in the final stage of the Star of God's Punishment. The rewards were incomparably generous. Now, everyone could see the list of rewards in their dimensional universe. Moreover, in the dimensional universe, the overall ranking had finally appeared. Currently, the number 1 on the Star of God's Punishment was Qin Jianfeng from the Western Continent. Boston, Southern Continent, number 2. Latimo, Northern Continent, number 3. Shengyin, Western Continent, number 4. Junemo, Eastern Continent, number 25. Chun Tianpeng, Eastern Continent, number 532. Wanren 2, Eastern Continent, number 1215. Linjun, Eastern Continent, number 1530. Among the long list of names, Linjun saw a name that made his heart surge. Feng Qingwan, Southern Continent, number 118. Little Phoenix. Qingwan actually participated in the Star of God's Punishment this time. Moreover, she's ranked 118. She's really amazing. We'll enter the Eastern Continent soon. I wonder if I can meet her there. At this moment, Chun Tianpeng brought Wanren-tu over. Linjun, I think our battle can come to an end. Since they were in the same battle zone, Linjun didn't want to continue fighting with them. He simply nodded and said, "Of course, I don't want to fight a meaningless battle. All right then, but I guess you don't want to cooperate with us. We decided to go to other battle zones. It's best if we can kill a few hero bannermen. Linjun, you can also take a look. If you have any enemies in the nearby battle zones, you can go and take revenge on them. It'll feel good to eliminate them." Linjun nodded. He already had a target in mind. Fire Kirin, Kuxiangnan. This person was also in the Eastern Continent. He was currently in the 39th battle zone and was ranked around 160,000. 160,000 wasn't a low rank. Most importantly, Linjun wanted to teach this person a lesson. Now, every hero bannerman had a map that clearly marked the location of other hero bannermen. This was to facilitate the battle. The Star of Divine Punishment was cruel. The gods tried to make experts kill each other. Only the real experts had the chance to refine their divine bodies. The teleportation array was in the center of the city. In fact, it was behind the swimming pool. This was the center of the city. Some warriors decided to go to other battle zones. Many people came to the teleportation array and prepared to leave. However, they weren't as fast as Linjun. Because the distance was close, Linjun arrived at the teleportation array first. Standing on this huge teleportation array, a row of numbers appeared in the dimensional universe. Linjun directly chose Battle Zone 39. A white light flashed on his body, and he lost 1/10 of his points. His ranking dropped from 1530 to 1719. However, in the next moment, he appeared in another battle zone. The change in the rules of points meant that the battles in the Star of Divine Punishment had entered a new stage. Without a doubt, this time, the elimination rate would increase. Now, the number of people in the Star of Divine Punishment was less than 1 billion. After the chaotic battles, a large number of warriors would be eliminated on the first day. What people paid more attention to were the warriors who owned the hero flag. There were 10 heroes in each battle zone, and these people were the focus of attention. It could be said that they enjoyed great prestige and fame in their own countries. Everyone hoped that their own heroes could eliminate warriors from other countries. No one wanted to be eliminated. Waves of cheers sounded on the internet, each louder than the last. People were cheering for their own country's heroes. In southern Liang, such a situation was unprecedented. Southern Liang, a country that couldn't even be ranked in the top 10 in the entire Yuan realm, actually had a hero flag holder. In particular, Linjun was in the top 3 in a small battle zone. He had already locked on to a soul formation aura. This was a success for the people of Southern Liang. Furthermore, there was a special feature. The situation of the country's hero flag holders would be automatically broadcasted in front of the entire country. Other than the warriors' private cultivation situations, everything else would be broadcasted. Furthermore, the warriors themselves wouldn't know about this. This should be God's bad taste. It was simply a prank on these heroes. However, it was strongly welcomed by the people. Not only could they watch their heroes fight, but they could also see some of their secrets and hear some gossip. At this moment, in the entire southern Liang, almost everyone's eyes were locked on Linjun. Therefore, almost everyone saw Linjun being teleported to Battle Zone 39. Linjun, go for it. Strive to be the first to eliminate a hero flag holder. Almost everyone was shouting like this. Soon, they saw a person appear in Linjun's vision. Chapter 703. When they saw that Linjun had met Liang Chun, the Southern Liang Forum fell silent. To be honest, if Linjun had not appeared out of nowhere, Liang Chen's results would have been pretty good. He was also ranked in the top 100 in the Eastern Continent's 39th battle zone. If he had not been eliminated, he would have had a chance to obtain a soul formation aura. Liang Chun even made a breakthrough on the Star of Divine Punishment and became a level 3 domain monarch. This cultivation speed was already very fast. His star power was close to 3 million, and he was definitely a genius among geniuses among the domain monarchs. However, compared to Lin Jun, it was not enough. Furthermore, according to the folklore, Lin Jun and Liang Chun had some grudges. People from other countries might not know about this, but it was very vivid on the Southern Liang forum, especially when an article suddenly appeared just now. The content of the article was titled, Hero or Scum? On the Southern Liang hero flag owner, Lin Jun's character is number 1. This article was obviously created by someone. Not only was it automatically pinned to the top of the forum after it appeared, but the content was also very detailed. The gist of it was that Lin Jun was an ancient martial art practitioner from the new domain. Ever since he arrived in the primordial realm, his methods have been despicable and shameless. He had used all sorts of schemes to harm people and commit all sorts of evil deeds. The person who posted the article did not list all the evidence at once. He only posted one article first. The first article was about the matter between Lin Jun and Liang Chun. Lin Jun's strength was outstanding, but he pretended to be weak on purpose. He tricked the current crown prince, Liang Chun, into challenging him again and again, causing the crown prince to be in debt. It was said that the crown prince's wife, Ning Qingxian, even lost 30 billion because of this matter. The evidence was very sufficient. There was even a record of Ning Qingxian transferring money to Liang Chun, as well as a record of Liang Chun's challenges. After they sorted out the details, it was very obvious that Lin Jun tricked Liang Chun into losing money. This piece of news confirmed the rumor that there was indeed a feud between Lin Jun and Liang Chun. Now that Lin Jun had encountered Liang Chun on the Star of God's Punishment, he would not hesitate to eliminate Liang Chun. At that time, someone left a comment, if Lin Jun eliminates Liang Chun, it means that he is extremely despicable. Liang Chun is the current crown prince and the pride of our southern Liang people. Moreover, his strength can't affect Lin Jun at all. If Lin Jun makes a move on him, I won't admire him no matter how good his results are. That's right, Lin Jun, you have countless opponents in the Star of Divine Punishment. Are you really going to attack Liang Chun? I agree with the person above. Stop blabbering and look at the situation. Maybe Lin Jun won't make a move. Regardless of whether he did anything or not, I can't forgive him for causing the crown princess to lose money. Stop. My goddess is so pitiful. Although there were many people discussing, more people focused their attention on Lin Jun. They wanted to see what choice he would make. Lin Jun didn't expect that the first person he would meet in District 39 would be Liang Chun. This guy was holding a long sword in his hand and was running quickly in a direction. That direction should be the teleportation circle in the center of the city. When Lin Jun appeared, Liang Chun almost bumped into Lin Jun. Liang Chun stopped abruptly. When he saw that it was Lin Jun, his jaw almost dropped. Lin Jun. When Lin Jun saw Liang Chun, he frowned slightly. If it was before, he wouldn't have any scruples. However, Ning Qingxian asked him to take good care of Liang Chun. Of course, Lin Jun didn't want to make a move on him. What's more, Lin Jun still felt a little guilty towards Liang Chun. After all, he had caused Liang Chun so much trouble in the arena. Moreover, Lin Jun looked at Liang Chun as if he was looking at a junior. After all, he was Xian Heir's adopted son. Why are you running in such a hurry? You don't have to work so hard, even if you go to other battlefields. When Liang Chun saw Lin Jun, his eyes couldn't help but spit fire. Lin Jun, why are you here, you bastard? Did you come here to kill me? I knew that you didn't have good intentions. Now that you've obtained such a good ranking, you actually came all the way here to deal with me. Do you really think that I'm a pushover? I'm going to kill you today. After speaking, Liang Chun pounced on Lin Jun fiercely and attacked quickly with a long sword in his hand. Lin Jun frowned. Liang Chun's current star power was not weak and had already exceeded 2 million. However, it was nothing in front of his 7 million star power. If the difference in strength was too big, there would be a huge suppression. Moreover, Lin Jun still had many tricks up his sleeve. He directly used time deceleration and made Liang Qin's movements as slow as a snail. Lin Jun flew up and kicked his butt, causing Liang Qin to fall flat on the ground. You still want to fight with me now? Do you think you're qualified? Liang Qin fell in an extremely ugly manner. He bit a mouthful of dirt, but he still jumped up. I'm going to kill you, plop. Lin Jun went over at lightning speed and kicked Liang Qin to the ground again. You better behave. To his surprise, Liang Qin, who was on the ground, had a look of realization. All right, Lin Jun, I know. You want to torture me, right? I'm telling you, don't even think about it. I won't give you the chance even if I die. When I get out, I'll tell my mother and ask her to avenge me. Tell your mother. Do you think I want to torture you? Lin Jun's expression was a little uncertain. This kid seemed to have a hole in his brain. Don't even think about it. I'm blocked by you now, and there's a hero bandit chasing after me. I won't be able to live. Even if I die, I'm going to snot all over you. As he spoke, Liang Qin looked as if he really wanted to fling his snot at Lin Jun. Lin Jun felt nauseous and kicked the brat far away again. This kick made Liang Qin even more determined to believe that Lin Jun wanted to torture him. He looked like he was going to die, and his face was solemn. However, Lin Jun didn't even care about him. Instead, he turned around and faced the direction Liang Qin came from. Now that killing in the same battle zone didn't give him any points, there was a hero bandit that wanted to kill him. There was no doubt that there was a grudge between them. Since Lin Jun met him, he couldn't just leave him be. As expected, a figure was rushing over. This person was also a spirit reader. He was standing on a flying sword and was very fast. He flew over like a flash of light. When she was about to reach him, Lin Jun saw his chest. East 39, a red hero bandit. Although he didn't know where this person was ranked in the 39th battle zone, it didn't matter. Since he met him, Lin Jun couldn't hold back. Lin Jun quickened his steps and rushed over to greet him. This hero bandit was chasing after Liang Qin. However, when he saw Lin Jun, his eyes lit up. Ah, I didn't expect there to be a hero bandit here. This is great. However, you haven't even killed that trash Liang Qin yet. How dare you challenge me? As expected, the 68th battle zone is a garbage area. Go to hell. The martial artist used his mind and attacked with 3 flying swords. Lin Jun snorted coldly. He immediately activated time acceleration and rushed in front of the telekinesis master in an instant. The phantom sword appeared in his hand. Taiyuan, he didn't need to use his spirit power or any other assistance. Time acceleration and Taiyuan sword technique were extremely powerful. A flash of lightning tore through the sky. A long space crack appeared in the 39th battle zone. The sky cracked like the earth. This hero bandit was the first to bear the brunt. Puff! The spirit reader continued to fly forward. Then, a bloodline appeared. Then, a green light rose and wrapped him up. He left the star of divine punishment. After killing this spirit reader with 1 sword, Lin Jun's points jumped again. It went from 1,700 to 1,600. It's just an ordinary hero bandit. The points aren't enough. At the same time, a message was broadcasted in the dimensional universe. Eastern Continent's 39th battle zone. Number 9 hero bandit Lin Eru was killed by number 3 hero bandit Lin Jun from the 68th battle zone of the Eastern Continent. Congratulations, Lin Jun. You are the first martial artist to kill a hero bandit on the Star of Divine Punishment. After the Star of Divine Punishment ends, you will receive an individual reward. This message was broadcasted 3 times in a row. Lin Jun was stunned. He was first. He was lucky. He was at the swimming pool and was the first to leave by teleportation. He met Liang Qin when he arrived here. He happened to run into this hero bandit who was chasing after Liang Qin. Luck played a big part in this. Lin Jun was quite happy. This meant that God was kind to him. He also found Liang Qin more pleasing to the eye. As soon as Lin Jun's announcement ended, the second announcement came. Qiu Yueshan, the owner of the number 1 Heroes banner in the Western Continent's Battle Zone 19, was killed by Qin Jianfeng, the owner of the number 1 Heroes banner in the Western Continent's Battle Zone 6. The message only played once before it ended. It could be seen that apart from Lin Jun's first kill, the others were all played once. But in reality, Lin Jun couldn't be compared to Qin Jianfeng. Qin Jianfeng had kill number 1, while Lin Jun had kill number 9 along the way. The difference was too great. I snatched first place from Qin Jianfeng. Maybe this guy will hate me because of this. Then there was news that the third person to be killed was Boston. The fourth person to be killed was actually Feng Qingluan, which made Lin Jun overjoyed. Was Little Phoenix responding to him in this way? The fifth person to be killed was Jun Mo. Lin Jun knew this person. He was the young patriarch of the Phoenix clan. Then a series of news came in, and more hero flag banners were eliminated. Qin Jianfeng even quickly killed the second hero's banners, which showed his powerful strength. Lin Jun watched for a while, then suddenly turned around and kicked Liangchen again. Are you done sneaking around? Let me tell you, brat, if you do these tricks again, I will really abuse you. Seeing that he couldn't win, Liangchen immediately used the same trick. Lin Jun, how dare you treat me like this? I will tell my mother. Lin Jun walked to Liangchen's side and squatted down. He looked into his eyes and said, Why don't you tell your father? Isn't your father the emperor? They are husband and wife. What's the difference? Liangchen felt that Lin Jun couldn't grasp the main point of his words. Couldn't he tell that he was threatening him? Chapter 704. When Lin Jun asked this question, the people of southern Liang all gasped in unison. Would the emperor and empress divorce? Why did Lin Jun ask this? Some of them had even heard some rumors and could not help but secretly guess. However, this question could not be casually discussed in the dimensional universe. Liangchen was also dumbfounded. He asked in a daze, why would they divorce? You don't need to ask why. You just need to tell me who you will choose to tell. If you tell me well, I will let you go today. If you don't, then you will be eliminated very soon. If you are eliminated now, then you will definitely not have a share of the soul formation aura in the future. Do you believe me? Although Liangchen was making a fuss about dying together with Lin Jun, who would not want to be eliminated if they could. In fact, he was greatly surprised. Since when did Lin Jun not become so fierce? It was as if the sun had risen from the west. Liangchen tried his luck and replied, If that's the case, I will definitely tell my mother and not my father. Oh, why is that? It's very simple. For hundreds of years, I've always been raised by my mother. My father has never cared about me at all. My growth in life all depended on my mother. She taught me martial arts, gave me money to spend, and taught me how to be a good person. Who else would I look for if not her? What a good child. Your mother didn't dote on you for nothing. Get up. Liangchen stared blankly as Lin Jun helped him up. He said in disbelief, Are you really not here to kill me? Lin Jun snorted coldly. Do you think you are worthy of me making a special trip here? As he spoke, Lin Jun felt a little itchy. He had kicked Liangchen 4 times just now, and it felt pretty good. Liangchen quietly took 2 steps away. He was already traumatized by Lin Jun's kicks. Lin Jun, you didn't kill me this time, but I won't be grateful to you. You cheated me of so much money back then and made me suffer. Although you saved me this time, we're even now. I won't tell my mother about it. Lin Jun glanced at him. If you can make your mother come to me, then I will really have to thank you. Why? Are you crazy? The more Liangchen looked at Lin Jun, the more he felt that this kid was a little stupid. If Ning Qingxian really came to him, would he still have a way out? Of course, Lin Jun wouldn't explain this problem. He ignored Liangchen and took out the map. He wanted to find the next hero's banner. It had to be said that the martial artists here were too crazy. The people in every battle zone were roaming around, and their points were rising rapidly. In 1 second, they could rise by tens of thousands, and in the next second, they could be eliminated. Although Lin Jun had killed a hero bannerman, in just a short while, his overall ranking had dropped to around 3,000. You don't have to follow me. Go to another battle zone. You won't get any points here. Lin Jun waved his hand to drive Liangchen away. At this moment, Liangchen really believed that Lin Jun didn't want to make a move on him. After knowing this, Liangchen didn't want to leave. Why don't I follow you for a while? The 2 of us can go to another battle zone and work together. You should be able to get a lot of points by following you. Just treat it as you pay me back. Lin Jun turned around and glanced at Liang Chun. Suddenly, his leg flew out like a ghost and kicked Liang Chun a few hundred meters away. Then, he left without looking back. He still had to find Xiangnan. The conversation between Lin Jun and Liang Chun contained a lot of information. First of all, these words confirmed the authenticity of the content of the post. There was indeed a conflict between them. Liang Chun had really been cheated out a lot of money by Lin Jun. This also meant that Ning Qingxian had really lost money. However, Lin Jun didn't seem to hate Liang Chun. Instead, he saved Liang Chen's life. Although the way he saved Liang Chen's life was simple and crude, he had kicked the crown prince like a ball. However, a rescue was a rescue. Furthermore, Lin Jun was the first to kill the enemy's hero's banner. This greatly increased Southern Liang's reputation. The public opinion that was originally unfavorable to Lin Jun gradually began to reverse. The person who posted this must have some ulterior motives. Although it's true, it's obviously posted at this time to slander Lin Jun. That's right. No matter what Lin Jun did in the past, he's now bringing glory to Southern Liang. Just based on this, I support him. Am I the only one who thinks that Lin Jun is taking care of the crown prince? He seems to care about him. I think so too. Besides, I have a feeling that Lin Jun's words have a hidden meaning. With the emperor and empress divorce? Shoo. Previous poster. Watch your words. Some things shouldn't be said carelessly. Asterisk, 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 looking at everything in the dimensional universe. The veins on Liang Jihuan's forehead were about to burst. Lin Jun actually took care of Liang Chun. Without a doubt, it was Ning Qingxian who told him to do so. What happened in the 2 years that they were alone together? What progress was there? What stage were they at? Did they hold hands? Hugged? Kissed? Are you asleep? Each thought was like a venomous snake that constantly tormented Liang Jihuan. Sure, Xiaomao. Find a chance and release the next big news. We must ruin Lin Jun's reputation. Sure, Xiaomao agreed, but he didn't have much confidence in his heart. In a large building in District 39, Xiangnan stood beside a martial artist. Although he was a genius of the Qilin clan, after arriving in the primordial realm, Xiangnan's life hadn't been satisfactory. Because of the influence of Lin Jun, he hadn't been able to obtain the greatest support from his clan. Cultivation resources also weren't biased towards him. He had worked hard, and after several hundred years, he was finally able to eliminate Lin Jun's influence. However, his cultivation had been delayed. Today, Xiangnan was only a 4th-level world king. Although this sounded good, it had to be known that he had cultivated for 700 years more than Lin Jun. The reason he was able to obtain a spot in the Star of Divine Punishment was all thanks to his older brother, Xiangdong. Xiangdong was now a peak 9th-level world king. In the northern continent, he was also a hero bannerman. However, before meeting up with his older brother, Xiangnan still needed to see the face of the martial artist in front of him. This was the #1 hero bannerman in District 39 of the Eastern Continent, Yi Chantian. Yi Chantian didn't belong to any country. Instead, he belonged to a martial artist sect called the Secret Sect. The young master of the Secret Sect, Sheng Yin, was ranked 4th in the entire continent. Yi Chantian was one of the 4 gods under Sheng Yin. Yi Chantian's ranking was in the top 100. He was a very powerful martial artist. What a disgrace. The first hero bannerman to be eliminated was actually from our district. That bastard Lin Eru. Xiangnan said to Yi Chantian, "Boss, I know the person who eliminated Lin Eru. He also came from the new territories. In the past, he competed with me. His strength can't be underestimated." "You mean that Lin Jun? Is he here to look for you?" Xiangnan smiled bitterly. "That's possible. He's a very vengeful bastard. Since that's the case, then it's easy. Go to the top of the building and write your name on a flag. Then, shout for Lin Jun to attract his attention." What the hell? I'm going to be a target? Nonsense. Otherwise, how can we lure this person out as soon as possible? Are we going to let him slaughter our District 39? Xiangnan's face was as pale as a corpse. He was almost certain that Lin Jun was here to look for him. Otherwise, how could one of the 100 districts come here at the same time? He couldn't wait to hide from Lin Jun. How could he go out and die? However, he didn't dare to disobey Yi Changtian. He could only brace himself and walk out. He got a flag and waved it at the top of the building, shouting Lin Jun's name. The surrounding martial artists looked at him as if he was an idiot. In the Western continent, a hero bannerman fell to the ground covered in blood. Pooh! Qin Jianfeng pulled out his sword. His face was gloomy. On his chest, there were already 3 golden stars in the second rank. This meant that he had killed 12 hero bannermen. However, he wasn't happy. The first kill was taken by Lin Jun. He was 1 step behind. Moreover, there were fewer and fewer hero bannermen. He checked the continent leaderboard. Of the 4,000 hero bannermen, there were less than 3,000 left. In less than 3 hours, he had lost a third. There are fewer and fewer hero bannermen in the Western continent. It's not fun to kill them. I should go to other continents to play. Sheng Yin of the Hidden Sect is in the Eastern continent. His 4 gods of the Hidden Sect are also there. That mysterious Lamodi is also there. Ocean Emperor Boston is in the Southern continent. The 3 fighters of the sea are also in the Southern continent. I should leave these 2 places for later. The only place I can go now is the Northern continent. It's the territory of the Galactic Beast Alliance. There are many races there. It's a good time to kill. Although I've lost half of my points, it won't take long to earn them back. Qin Jianfeng used the teleportation circle to go to the Northern continent. After losing half of his points, Qin Jianfeng immediately fell from the throne of first place. However, no one dared to underestimate him. Qin Jianfeng was the first person to cross the continent to fight. Knowing that he was going to the Northern Continent was on high alert. In the Southern Liang Palace, Liang Jihuan was meeting someone. This was an ordinary-looking martial artist. He was only a level 5 stellar martial artist. His strength wasn't worth mentioning. Shi Xiaomao introduced him to Liang Jihuan. Your Majesty, this is the martial artist from the canon race that you were looking for. His name is Rasha. Liang Jihuan sized up this person called Rasha and expressed deep suspicion. Your Majesty, I can guess what you're thinking. You must think that since this kid is so weak, his other half can't be that strong, right? Liang Jihuan didn't say anything, but his expression said it all. I can understand your feelings, but I want your Majesty to believe that when we Canon clan martial artists are born, we have 2 heads for hands and 4 legs. If we want to have any achievements, we must divide a person into 2. All of our spirit, energy, and talent, abilities, even luck will be concentrated on the other half. The other half is basically useless. Therefore, don't think that I'm just a Hangzhou. The weaker I am, the stronger my other half will be. What's the name of your other half? Hee. Please open the ranking list and take a look at the martial artist in 4th place. That person called Lamodi. Does he look exactly like me? Chapter 705. Liang Jihuan also knew a little about the legend of the Canon clan. The 2 people of the Canon clan were actually the same person. This was a form of life, not a clone or a twin. Lamodi was La Xia. The La Xia in front of him was the most mysterious Lamodi on the star of God's punishment. Then I'll just call you Lamodi. Anyway, La Xia and Lamodi are the same person. Unexpectedly, La Xia waved his hand and said, No, I'm La Xia. The other half is Lamodi. If your Majesty sees my other half, you can call him Lamodi, but I'm not. Liang Jihuan was speechless. They were the same person. Why did they have to pay so much attention to it? Your Majesty, this time you took the initiative to look for me and promised to give me a huge reward. That's why I agreed to tell you my identity. This is also to gain your trust. I believe you won't spread this matter. But if you call me Lamodi and others hear it, then my identity will be exposed. Have you thought about the consequences? Liang Jihuan suddenly realized and immediately said, Then I'm being rude. Mr. La Xia, now tell me about your situation. I want to know first, who is the person your Majesty wants me to kill? If I ask you to kill Qin Jianfeng, can you do it? Liang Jihuan deliberately asked a difficult question. Qin Jianfeng was now known as the strongest person in World King. Not to mention martial artists of the same level, even immortal martial artists were killed by Qin Jianfeng. Even if Liang Jihuan was an immortal martial artist, he didn't dare to say that he could kill Qin Jianfeng. He was deliberately making things difficult for La Xia. Haha, that depends on the reward your majesty gives. La Modi doesn't have the confidence to defeat Qin Jianfeng in a head-on battle. But if it's an assassination, then there's a big chance. If the reward is high enough, he can give it a try. Seeing La Xia's calm expression, Liang Jihuan was finally relieved. If he dared to accept the mission to kill Qin Jianfeng, then defeating Lin Zhan would be even easier. Ha ha ha. Mr. La Xia is indeed straightforward. This time, the target isn't Qin Jianfeng, but this person. Lin Zhan's information was sent over by Shi Xiaomao. La Xia took a look and said, "Oh, it's actually this person who took the first hero's flag. The Southern Liang martial artist? Why does your majesty of Southern Liang want to personally eliminate your country's marshal? What kind of deep hatred do you have? This doesn't seem to have anything to do with what we're talking about. Mr. Aza, just tell me if you can accept this mission." Liang Jihuan did not want to talk about this topic. The key was that it was too difficult to talk about it. Even if the emperors of other countries were cuckolded, it was because they had too many wives and were too distracted to take care of them all. However, Liang Jihuan liked this one, and he was actually cuckolded. This was something that he could not tell anyone. All right, I won't ask. As for this person, I want 50 billion, and I have to pay half of the deposit first. Although the price was high, Liang Jihuan couldn't care less. He had to kill Lin Zhan. Sure, but Mr. La Xia, you better choose a critical time to do it. My request is not only to eliminate him, but also to give him a hard blow. Okay, I like to do it this way. I'll choose a suitable time and inform you in advance. Then, a video of the dimensional universe was sent over. It was a video from the inside of Star of Divine Punishment. Star of Divine Punishment couldn't use the dimensional universe. However, La Xia and La Modi were the same person. La Modi's recording was received by La Xia. He was the only person who could contact the outside world on Star of Divine Punishment. La Xia sent the video to Liang Jihuan. The video showed La Modi killing a hero's flag warrior. La Modi was the #1 martial artist in another battle zone. However, La Modi was hiding in the dark. When he approached, the martial artist didn't notice him at all. It wasn't until La Modi got close to him and stabbed him with his dagger that the martial artist was alerted. However, it was too late. La Modi killed him with one stab. This assassination method is really strong. It's all right. Your Majesty, just wait for my good news. I'll give Lin Zhan a fatal blow when he's at his proudest. Then I'll wait for your good news. Liang Jihuan finally felt relieved. Lin Zhan's situation was broadcasted live in southern Liang. Everyone was watching. If Lin Zhan was suddenly killed, this hero would fall from his pedestal. Lin Zhan was at the corner of a street. From afar, he saw Ku Xiangnan waving his flag and shouting at the top of a tall building. "Take your time. I'm not going to kill you immediately. I'll wait until you're tired." Lin Zhan ignored Ku Xiangnan. Instead, he wandered on the street and attacked whenever he saw a martial artist. There were also martial artists coming over to challenge Lin Zhan. They also wanted to kill outsiders. However, ordinary martial artists were no longer a threat to Lin Zhan. Without killing hero bannermen, Lin Zhan's points were still increasing steadily. After 3 days in District 39, Lin Zhan killed his second hero bannerman. The martial artist ranked 7th in this district was also killed by Lin Zhan with one stab. After killing his second hero bannerman, Lin Zhan wasn't in a hurry to deal with Ku Xiangnan. Instead, he left District 39 and went to District 75. When Ku Xiangnan saw Lin Zhan's figure disappear into the teleportation array, he was stunned for a moment. Then, he jumped down from the tall building. He ran away. That D*MN guy. He's as timid as a mouse. Ku Xiangnan sat on the ground and let out a long breath. Since Lin Zhan was gone, he didn't have to worry too much. He gestured to the distance. When the few hero bannermen who had been waiting in the dark saw Lin Zhan leave, they all turned around and left. Ku Xiangnan took out his phone. He had collected it on this planet. It was said to be a global phone. Although he couldn't use it in the dimensional universe, now that the border was open, he could still use it to communicate with some people. "Hello, brother, it's me. Lin Zhan is gone. That guy didn't dare to touch me. I'm safe now. Yes, you don't have to worry." On the other side of the phone was Ku Xiangdong. He smiled when he heard his brother say that he was safe. That's good. Xiangnan, you don't know. Not only is young Master Qingdong here, but there are also many brothers from the Galactic Beast Alliance. They are all from the Eastern Continent. If anything happens to you, I can summon dozens of hero bannermen to help you. Who cares about Lin Jun? Ha! Brother, don't worry. Lin Jun doesn't have the guts. He's just a stray dog that can't even return to the Kirin clan. If he wants to touch me, he'll have to look at the Galactic Beast Alliance behind me. Unless he's an idiot, he absolutely won't. As Ku Xiangnan was wantonly belittling Lin Jun, there was a sudden gust of wind behind him. Ku Xiangnan knew this was bad. He wanted to turn around, but it was already too late. A sword light slashed down. Absolute void. To deal with an elementary world king like Ku Xiangnan, Lin Jun didn't even need to use his full strength. With a casual strike, Ku Xiangnan was finished off. You actually came back. That's right. I just wasted some points. Ku Xiangnan, it's not that you don't get your revenge. It's just that the time hasn't come yet. Congratulations. You won't have a share of the divine transformation energy. Ku Xiangnan's current points ranking was over 10,000. After being eliminated, his points were halved and he fell to 70,000. When the divine punishment star ended, it would be impossible for him to enter the top 100,000. Lin Jun, you won't have a good end. I'll wait outside for you, Ku Xiangnan said into the phone. Then, his body fell to the ground, and he was wrapped in a blue light as he left the stage. Before he left the stage, there was still a voice on the other side of the phone. Ku Xiangdong's tone was filled with panic. Lin Jun grabbed the phone and shouted, Ku Xiangnan is dead. If you have anything to say, go burn some paper offerings to him. Lin Jun, you bastard, Kacha! The phone was smashed to pieces by Lin Jun. On the other side of the phone, Ku Xiangdong was trembling with anger. Good. Lin Jun, you actually dared to eliminate Xiangnan. You're destroying his hopes of reaching the immortal realm. Xiangnan could have obtained a divine transformation energy, but you ruined it. How can I let you go? Ku Xiangdong picked up the phone and began to dial. As a peak 9th level world king, Ku Xiangdong was currently the number 2 figure of the Fire Kirin clan's younger generation, second only to Qingdong. Brother Qin, my younger brother was eliminated by Lin Jun. He's in District 39. Get someone to come and kill him. Hey, is this Brother Xie from the Black Tortoise clan? Do me a favor and take care of someone. Come to District 39. Brother Yuan Kuei from the Violent Ape clan? I'm Ku Xiangdong from the Fire Kirin clan. Come and do me a favor. Ku Xiangdong was quite popular. In the 700 years in the primordial realm, he had made many friends. Moreover, there were many people from the Galactic Beast Alliance in the Eastern Continent. He called them one by one. Not only did he want to take revenge for Ku Xiangnan, but he also wanted to give Lin Jun a warning. This was no longer the new territories. Lin Jun, was still far from being able to fight with the Ku brothers. Even if he had to leave Star of Divine Punishment, he would make sure Lin Jun would never dare to provoke them again. After eliminating Ku Xiangnan, Lin Jun could be considered to have vented his resentment from the past. Looking at the points ranking, he was currently ranked in the 1200s. Previously, he had entered the top 1,000, but in order to kill Ku Xiangnan, he had to teleport back and forth twice. As a result, 20% of his points have been deducted, dropping him to the 1200s. Now that they can't ambush me, it's time for me to go on a killing spree. Only the top 100 can obtain a spot to temper the divine body. I'm still far from that. Lin Jun looked at his own situation. He could still use star power transfer and take God power pills. It could be said that he was in his best condition. Moreover, after killing Ku Xiangnan, he could even see the number of hero flags on the map gradually increasing. Chapter 706. Ku Xiangdong stood at the teleportation array, welcoming the hero banners one after another. Brother Xie, you're here. Thank you for your hard work. Brother Qin, I'm counting on you this time. Although Lin Jun's ranking is not high, his strength is not bad. I've done a lot of research on him. Brother Yuan Kuei, you're the main force today. If that Lin Jun wants to run away, you can't let him. Qingdong was from the same clan as Ku Xiangdong. In fact, He was the son of Elder Qin of the Kirin clan. Elder Qin was jealous of Lin Jun. If it weren't for Lin Jun, he would have had a chance to become the next patriarch. However, because of Lin Jun, Elder Qin's position in the Fire Kirin clan had declined. Qin Dong was the strongest among the younger generation of Fire Kirins. Even without Ku Xiangdong's invitation, he wouldn't have let Lin Jun go. Xia Wenqi was from the Black Tortoise clan. She had a good relationship with Ku Xiangdong. She was also one of the top 400 experts in the entire Star of God's Punishment. This time, she was here to help. Yuan Kuei was a super galactic beast, an expert of the Violent Ape clan. He was even one of the top 150 experts in the entire Star of God's Punishment. His strength was similar to Qin Dong's, so he had a chance to compete for the quota of tempering the divine body. None of them came alone. Instead, they brought a few friends with them. After a while, more than 20 hero banners had gathered here. Brother Ku, don't worry. We've known each other for a long time. Your business is my business. Is Lin Jun still here? Yuan Kuei was 2 meters tall. He looked like a silverback gorilla. He was abnormally strong and fearless. Ku Xiangdong laughed. No, he hasn't. I've been guarding the teleportation array to prevent him from leaving. You can check the map. He's not far ahead. I guess he's looking for a chance to slip away. Slip away? With so many of us here, how can we give him a chance to slip away? Everyone, stay alert. Don't let this monkey run away. Yuan Kuei said loudly. Qin Dong also spoke up. Lin Jun is an extremely shameless and despicable person. Let's not kill him so easily later. We need to slowly torture him to death before we can avenge Brother Xiangnan. These heroic flag bannermen all nodded in agreement. Since they had come, they had no intention of letting Lin Jun have an easy time. Lin Jun was nothing more than a heroic flag bannerman ranked around 1,200. Moreover, he had gotten the first kill out of sheer luck. This made the other heroic flag bannermen somewhat jealous. Go! Let's go and meet this brat. With a wave of his hand, Ku Xiangdong left behind 2 hero bannermen and a few other experts to guard the teleportation array to prevent Lin Jun from escaping. He then led over 20 hero bannermen and rushed towards Lin Jun in high spirits. Yi Chantian frowned as he watched the arrival of the heroic flag bannermen. These people are here to deal with Lin Jun, so there's no need for me to do anything. However, I should inform young Master Shengyan. There's a lot of points here. When they're done with Lin Jun, we secret sect martial artists will be the Oriole. Yi Chantian picked up the phone and began to inform Shengyan and the others. The secret sect martial artists were also in the Eastern Continent. This was their hunting ground. However, they were all waiting for Yi Chantian's confirmation. They would come over as soon as the outcome of the battle was decided. However, in Yi Chantian's opinion, their enemies were the 20 heroic flag bannermen. Lin Jun stood no chance against them. When the heroic flag bannermen appeared in front of Lin Jun, the citizens of Southern Liang were stunned. Just who did Lin Jun offend? How could he be surrounded by so many heroic flag bannermen? Although there were still many people who hated Lin Jun in the multiverse, the citizens of Southern Liang were still furious when they saw this scene. You're too shameless. Didn't Lin Jun just kill a small fry? Is there a need to make such a big scene? They're bullying us, Southern Liang. Bullying us with numbers. These guys are a disgrace to all martial artists. Lin Jun, kill them all. Lin Jun, although I'm not happy about you bullying the crown prince and cheating the crown princess of her money, if you can fight for Southern Liang this time, I'll become your fan. I don't ask you to live, but even if you die, you have to die standing. Lin Jun, fight for us. The multiverse was filled with voices that supported Lin Jun. This could be considered a blessing in disguise. The negative effects of Liang Jihuan's first attack on Lin Jun had all disappeared. However, Liang Jihuan didn't care. As long as Lin Jun could be eliminated, he was willing to pay any price. Lin Jun gently fiddled with the mirage light sword in his hand as he looked at the 20-plus people surrounding him. They really think highly of me. There are actually more than 20 people here. His gaze swept across the chests of these people. These heroic flag bannermen were all people who had been eliminated in the first round. They more or less had some achievements. For example, the warrior from the Violent Ape race already had 6 gold stars on his chest. Violent Ape, Black Tortoise, Ku Xiangdong, and a Fire Qilin warrior. These four the strongest. Just as Lin Jinping was pondering, Ku Xiangdong had already stepped out of the crowd and arrived in front of Lin Jinping. Lin Jun, you didn't expect this, did you? When you eliminated Xiang Nan, didn't you think that I was behind him? This is karma. You just eliminated Xiang Nan and were pleased with yourself for a few minutes. But now you're facing a desperate situation. If you could choose again, would you still have the courage to do this? Lin Jun sneered at Ku Xiangdong. Don't even talk about choosing again. Even if I choose 100 times, I still won't let go of the person who deserves to be dealt with. Do you think that you can threaten me with a bunch of rotten sweet potatoes and bird eggs? What? Ku Xiangdong was furious. You really don't know what's good for you. Even when you're about to die, you're still so stubborn. I wanted to give you a quick death, but it seems like that won't be necessary. Lin Jun, you'll be the one who dies the most miserably on the star of divine punishment. With that, Ku Xiangdong turned around and said, I invited all of you here. I have something good to share with all of you. This Lin Jun is everyone's plaything today. You can deal with him however you want. Are there any brothers who would like to volunteer to play with him? At that moment, Xia Wenqi of the Black Tortoise Tribe walked out with 2 warriors from the Black Tortoise Tribe. Brother Ku, let's make this clear. Lin Jun is also a member of the Fire Kirin, right? If we kill him later, the Fire Kirins won't make trouble for us, right? Haha, Brother Xia, you must be joking. How can Lin Jun be considered a member of the Fire Kirin tribe? He couldn't even pass the Heavenly Gate, so he still hasn't found the entrance to the Kirin tribe. If Brother Xia eliminates him, he won't be qualified to join the Fire Kirin tribe. So, you don't have to give me face and kill him. Then we won't hold back. Xia Wenqi led the 2 warriors from the Black Tortoise tribe, and the 3 of them surrounded Lu Chong. Lin Jun, don't say that I didn't give you a chance. You'd better give up all thoughts of resisting, and don't try to attack us. The Black Tortoise tribe is born with a strong defense. Whether it's physical attacks, elemental attacks, or mental attacks, they won't be able to do any damage to us. If you anger us, the 3 of us can torture you to death bit by bit, and you can't do anything to us. Lin Jun looked at the 3 of them and said indifferently, You're so long-winded. Are you trying to emphasize that your turtle shell is very hard? As soon as this sentence came out, Xia Wenqi was immediately choked, speechless. In the dimensional universe, the audience from the Southern Liang tribe burst into laughter. Lin Jun was calm in the face of danger, and he even had the mood to mock the other party. This eased their nervous mood a little. However, Xia Wenqi couldn't see this. The veins on his face twitched a few times. Be asterisk starred. You said something that I hate the most in my life. Before you die, I'll give you a try. The Black Tortoise is one of the 4 divine beasts, and it's also a supergalactic beast. It's not a turtle like you said. You're the turtle. Your whole family is made up of turtles. Let's go. Kill this be asterisk starred who spoke rudely. Xia Wenqi roared and led his 2 subordinates. The 3 of them pounced over. They weren't particularly fast, but they were covered in a layer of yellow light. That was the Black Tortoise tribe's strong defense. Although they said that they weren't turtles, the Black Tortoise tribe was still a turtle-type divine beast. This shell defense was their innate ability, and it was impossible for them not to use it. As long as this layer of turtle shell wasn't broken, the Black Tortoise tribe would be invincible. The heroic bannermen behind them revealed a hint of envy in their eyes. They let these people take the lead. Facing the ferocious looks on their faces, Lin Jun first activated his stellar power and then swallowed a divine power pill without hesitation. Lin Jun's main body now had 7 million points of stellar power. With the addition of his clones, 3 million points of stellar power. His stellar power had reached 10 million points. The divine power pill increased his stellar power by another 40%, doubling his stellar power to 14 million points. This was a strength that Lin Jun had never possessed before. Instantly, his stellar power erupted, and a wave of energy surged from his body. Boom! The wave of energy blew the hair of the heroic bannermen behind him, and their faces changed drastically. Be careful! Feeling Lin Jun's surging aura, Because Xiangdong and the rest shouted from behind. But it was all too late. After Lin Jun's stellar power erupted, the phantom light sword in his hand had already been swung out. After using time acceleration, his hands were as fast as lightning. Two streaks of sword chi pierced through the air and struck the two black tortoises. The so-called defense was like a piece of paper in front of Lin Jun's sword chi. It was destroyed easily. Before they could even say anything, they were enveloped by the green light and eliminated. At this moment, Xiao Wenqi had no way to retreat. She could only increase her speed and increase her defense to the maximum. Lin Jun's lips curled into a cold smile. His body turned lightly, and the phantom light sword in his hand slashed down again. The Taiyuan divine sword appeared again. A scene froze at this moment. Lin Jun's sword landed, and a spatial crack slashed across Xiao Wenqi's body. Crack! The tortoise shell cracked open, followed by his body, and then blood gushed out. A series of notifications from the dimensional universe sounded one after another. Zhang Dongliang, the owner of the number 7 heroic bannerman in Zone 52 of the Eastern Continent, has been eliminated by Lin Jun, the owner of the number 3 heroic bannerman in Zone 68 of the Eastern Continent. This announcement is hereby made. Responsible hero, the owner of the number 5 heroic bannerman in Zone 87 of the Eastern Continent, has been eliminated by Lin Jun, the owner of the number 3 heroic bannerman in Zone 68 of the Eastern Continent. This announcement is hereby made. Chapter 707. The 3 warnings from the alternate universe made the entire star of God's punishment go silent. It's him again. Qin Jianfeng stopped his sword. An interesting kid. Boston looked to the east. Lin Jun, my lover. Good job. Feng Qinghuan's eyes were filled with tenderness. Lin Jun again. Seems like I should find a chance to take care of him. Junimo also stopped. Lin Jun didn't stop after he succeeded in one move. He leaned forward and dashed toward the group of hero bannermen. One arrogant kid. Everyone, be alert. This kid took some medicine. His star power is ridiculously high now. Spread out. Don't fight him head on. These hero bannermen weren't just for show. They spread out and prepared to attack Lin Jun from all directions. However, they still underestimated Lin Jun's speed. He finished off Xiao Wenqi with one strike. Lin Jun rushed to the front of the group almost instantly. 2 hero bannermen didn't have time to dodge. Lin Jun quickly closed in on them and slashed with his phantom light sword. Taishu, Taishu. The 2 swords slashed out consecutively. With a boost of 14 million stars of star power, the 2 swords exerted great power. These 2 hero bannermen were already slightly weaker. When Lin Jun caught up with them, they couldn't resist at all and were eliminated on the spot. After killing 2 people in a row, Lin Jun didn't even stop. He passed by a martial artist who was running away and didn't even have time to turn around. He sent out sword chi with a flick of his finger. Puff, puff, puff. After a few sword chi, this martial artist was shot down in the air. Lin Jun raised his hand and a 7-star blade, made of golden chi, slashed across his throat. Another martial artist was killed. At this time, a martial artist who was closest to Lin Jun suddenly turned around and stabbed toward Lin Jun. You don't deserve to use a spear in front of me. Lin Jun waved his long sword. Satellite descent. The star power clashed head-on without any fancy moves. This martial artist only felt a strong force rushing toward him. It was as if he was hit by a meteor. He died on the spot. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. A wave of attacks came crashing down from the sky. Lin Jun's body moved like a ghost. Tom suddenly sped up and slowed down. He shuttled through the countless attacks and suddenly appeared beside a cultivator. This martial artist brandished his long saber and slashed at Lin Jun. Lin Jun leaned over and suddenly slid under the man's armpit, instantly appearing in front of another martial artist. He waved his sword with one hand. Taiyuan strike again. Crack! The thunderous sword strike was unstoppable, and yet another hero bannerman died under the sword. The martial artist that Lin Jun had missed roared and turned around. However, Lin Jun turned around even faster than him, and the 2 of them instantly came face to face. Evil spirit shock. When Lin Zhan's spirit power surged into the opponent's mind, the hero's flag also tried to resist. However, it was not even worth mentioning in front of Lin Zhan's gold pinnacle spirit power. In an instant, the hero's flag was smashed into pieces. The hero's flag was brain dead. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Continuous attacks came at him like raindrops. Lin Zhan suddenly leaped into the air and dodged 3 or 4 people's attacks. Using his spirit power, he controlled the shield to draw an arc in the air. When he saw that these martial artists were standing in the right positions, he immediately unleashed his divine infant. The divine infant waved its spear, and like a bullet passing through a row of wooden planks, it pierced through the minds of 3 hero bannermen. The gold divine infant ignored physical attacks and physical defenses. All of the opponent's resistance was futile. Even if they had a divine infant, they could not block Lin Zhan's divine infant spear. After a few groans, the 3 hero bannermen fell to the ground one after another and died on the spot. The entire dimensional universe went crazy. That was because news was starting to appear one after another. Chen Jihuan, the owner of the number 6 hero bannerman in the Eastern Continent's District 77, has been eliminated by Lin Zhan, the owner of the number 3 hero bannerman in the Eastern Continent's District 68. This announcement is hereby made. Zhang Fei, the owner of the number 5 hero bannerman in the Eastern Continent's District 12, has been eliminated by Lin Zhan, the owner of the number 3 hero bannerman in the Eastern Continent's District 68. I hereby announce this. Dong Minqing, the owner of District 35's number 10 hero banner, has been eliminated by Lin Zhan, the owner of District 68's number 3 hero banner. I hereby announce this. Eastern Continent. More than 10 notifications flooded the screen. In such a short time, Lin Zhan had actually killed 12 heroic bannermen, especially the Southern Liang people. They felt like they were watching an action movie. From Lin Zhan's perspective, they could clearly see the tragic deaths and elimination of the heroic bannermen. Blood splattered everywhere. That scene was simply too shocking. Wow, Lin Zhan is beyond godly. Handsome. F***CK his mother. Lin Zhan, even if you cuckolded the emperor, I will forgive you today. That's right. It was to kill. Boss Lin Zhan, you are my idol. Who still dares to say that our Southern Liang is a low-level country? Who still dares to say that our Southern Liang has no one? Look at who this is. This is Lin Zhan. This is the King Lin Zhan. The invincible Lin Zhan. Domain monarch. I admit that you are the number 1 domain monarch in the world. All world kings are trash in front of you. Not only were the Southern Liang people able to watch, but these dead hero bannermen also came from various countries. Their countries also had people supporting them and watching their battles. However, the martial artists they supported were killed by Lin Zhan like he was slaughtering chickens. They were furious, but at the same time, they could not help but admire Lin Zhan's super powerful strength. A domain monarch hero bannerman was actually able to sweep away a group of world king hero bannermen. Just this point alone was worthy of all the martial artists' respect. Moreover, the Southern Liang people kept uploading the battle videos to the dimensional universe, causing a huge uproar. As the emperor of Southern Liang, Liang Jihuan received countless congratulatory messages. Without exception, these messages were all congratulating him that a super powerhouse had appeared in Southern Liang. If this Lin Zhan became a world king, it would be absolutely amazing. Liang Jihuan could only smile bitterly and perfunctorily in response to these messages. He actually could not say anything to refute them. Lin Zhan, if only you were an obedient citizen. Unfortunately, you seduced my wife. Just based on this point, no matter how strong you are, I will not tolerate you. Ku Xiangdong had found a total of 23 hero bannermen, but in less than a minute of fighting with Lin Zhan, he had lost 12 of them. 12 hero bannermen, each with a star, had been slaughtered by Lin Zhan in less than a minute. This caused Lin Zhan's ranking on the Star of Divine Punishment to soar to 102nd place. And in front of Lin Zhan's chest, there was already a second-level 3 hero bannermen. They were not here to torture Lin Zhan to death. Instead, They were here to deliver Lin Jun's head. Seeing that Lin Jun was about to continue chasing after them, Qin Dong and Yuan Kuei both attacked. As the strongest powerhouses of these 20-some people, Qin Dong and Yuan Kuei had originally wanted to step onto the stage safely. But they never imagined that Lin Jun would be so fierce. He was actually able to cut down the hero bannermen like vegetables, causing them to panic. The two of them no longer cared about putting on the airs of masters. They immediately rushed out of the crowd and rushed towards Lin Jun. Qin Dong wielded 2 swords, and Yuan Kuei wielded a golden staff. The two of them attacked from the left and right. Lin Jun stepped on the plum blossom steps, the phantom light sword in his hand swinging. Cosmic. A sword light shot straight towards Yuan Kuei. Yuan Kuei angrily roared, "Lin Jun, you brat, don't show off your insignificant skills in front of this grandpa. This grandpa is not like those trash from before." The golden staff in his hand fiercely swung over and collided with Lin Jun's sword energy. Lin Jun's body swayed. Although he did not retreat, his arm felt slightly numb. This Yuan Kuei has great strength. Among the supergalactic beasts, if one were to talk about physical strength, the violent ape would definitely be one of the strongest. This Yuan Kuei is also one of the strongest among the violent apes. He has innate divine strength and is really hard to resist. Lin Jun wanted to use his mental power, but Qin Dong's 2 swords had already attacked him from behind like a ghost. His opponent's speed was extremely fast. Lin Jun turned around, and their swords clashed. The two of them fought with speed. The intense collisions were like firecrackers. From behind, Yuan Kuei's staff attacked again. Lin Jun could only split his attention and use his phantom light sword to fight 1 against 2. The two of them fought Lin Jun with all their strength. They definitely did not give Lin Jun any chance to recover. However, they could not take down Lin Jun. They were even at a disadvantage. There was no other reason. Lin Jun's astral power was too strong. If they fought one-on-one, the two of them would already be dead. All of you attack. When Ku Xiangdong saw this scene, he knew that if he could not take down Lin Jun now, he would never be able to do so. He roared, and the 9 heroic bannermen, including him, immediately rushed forward. Looking at the group of people in front of him, Lin Jun gritted his teeth. Good. Just right. Swinging his sword to block Yuan Kuei's attack, Lin Jun exposed a flaw. Qin Dong's 2 swords stabbed towards him from behind. Lin Jun separated his arms and turned into armor. The 2 swords pierced his body. However, Lin Jun's body was extremely tough after he turned into armor. The 2 swords were not fatal. Black hole beast transformation. Qin Dong's body was lifted up by Lin Jun. He crawled onto the back of the huge black hole beast. His clothes were torn apart. Lin Jun roared towards the sky. In front of him was Yuan Kuei, who was waving his staff, and all the heroic bannermen, including Ku Xiangdong. "Surround me. Are you ready to die?" Roar. A deafening roar shook the earth. The Eastern Continent's District 39 martial artists who were watching from afar fled in panic. However, Yuan Kuei, Ku Xiangdong, and the rest could not escape. There was only that huge black hole in front of them. The black hole, created by 14 million astral power, could not be blocked by anyone with less than 28 million astral power. Including Yuan Kuei and Ku Xiangdong, they could not resist at all. They screamed and fell into the black hole. Just as they were about to be decomposed into molecules, they were enveloped by the green light and eliminated. Being swallowed by the black hole meant immediate death. Lin Jun swallowed 10 heroic bannermen. He ignored the series of notifications from the dimensional universe. He shook his body and threw Qin Dong off his back. "Don't kill me. My father is Elder Qin of the Fire Kirin." Qin Dong was dumbfounded. He did not expect Lin Jun to be so strong. He immediately raised his hands to surrender. "Elder Qin, that's great. Go back and say hello to your father. Just say that Lin Jun trampled you to death." Lin Jun was furious when he thought of Elder Qin, who caused him to be trapped for 700 years. If it were not for the mirror dimension, he would have advanced to the immortal realm.